Overthinking, declutter your mind, overcome negativity. Create atomic habits to stop worrying. Manage stress, anxiety, and depression. Improve your brain, social intelligence, and self-confidence. Introduction. What is overthinking? The mind is our more precious tool. But what happens when our thoughts start to get out of control? Humans are gifted with a superior thinking capacity that sets us apart from other living beings on this planet. The human brain can create great things like buildings, literature, movies, novels, and thousands of other inventions that have enhanced our way of life throughout history. It is remarkable what we can do when we put our minds to it. Thinking allows us to excel in school, go to college, plan for the future, get a job. No doubt, our mind is our biggest asset, but what happens when the mind stops being your ally and starts becoming your enemy? What if your mind starts to get out of control and starts eating away at your happiness? What would happen if your mind started producing destructive thoughts that threaten to hold you back in life and ruin the relationships you've worked so hard to build? Overthinking Explained. Thinking too much. That is exactly what it means to overthink. When you spend too much time thinking instead of taking action, when you analyze and repeat the same thoughts in your mind but do very little about it, you're overthinking. Or how about another, more relatable example of overthinking happening in a relationship? You send a text to your crush whom you've recently started dating. You wait eagerly for their reply, but an hour passes. 2 hours. 3 hours. Still nothing from them. Your mind starts to go into overdrive. Why aren't they texting me back? Are they busy? Have they lost interest in me? Was it something I said? Maybe they're annoyed that I'm texting them first. Maybe they want to break up with me. Could they be ghosting me? Is it me? Why does this always happen to me? The reason behind it. To be trapped by the thoughts in your mind is torture. Being locked in and unable to escape the negativity is mental torture. The brain is tricky in that way. Telling it not think about something rarely ever works. We naturally want certainty. We want control. We want to know what's happening. We want concrete answers to the questions we have. When we don't get what we need to satisfy that urge, the brain goes into overdrive, coming up with scenarios of its own. Why does overthinking happen? Well, along with the ability to think, humans have another special ability called intuition. Intuition is defined as the ability to immediately understand something without any need for conscious reasoning. Have you ever been told to go with your gut when you were stuck on a decision that had to be made? Gut, in this context, refers to your intuition, and it does highlight the fact that your intuitive thoughts are not coming from your conscious mind. Instead, they stem from your subconscious mind. If you've ever experienced those moments when it feels like your brain is arguing with itself, this is the reason why. Your subconscious mind sometimes tries to give you answers to the problems you're facing. You need to make decisions every day. What makes it scary for a lot of people is how those decisions determine the direction your life is going and what you're going to experience next. This can be an overwhelming notion for many and why overthinking is such a problem. We're afraid of regret. And since time continues to move forward instead of backward, it feels like every decision that is going to impact our life matters. Once a decision has been made, you cannot go back in time and change the moment. You can't alter the choice you've made most of the time, and you must live with the consequences of your decisions. The last thing we want is to make a decision that we come to regret. We don't want to live with the possibility that we could have experienced something better if only we had made a different decision. See why overthinking is a big problem? Ask anyone you meet, and they'll tell you that they don't want to look back on their life with regret when they're old one day, wishing they had done certain things differently. To complicate matters more, we never know what the guaranteed outcome is going to be for most of the decisions we make. Overthinking happens because the mind is constantly wrestling with the many possibilities it is faced with. The uncertainty of not knowing which decision is going to be the best decision only makes it harder to figure out the right choices to make. Ultimately, the root cause of overthinking is fear. The seeds that it sows in your mind will prey upon your thoughts to the point they become out of control. None of us came into this world being afraid. The fear we experience today is what we've developed out of trauma or life experiences. Even when the traumatic experience has passed, remnants of that fear remain, and we continue to carry that fear around with us for the rest of our lives. Fear is the poison that latches onto our mind and, if left unchecked, triggers a lot of the overthinking that happens. These destructive thought patterns become an inescapable habit once it starts. The more we overthink, the more fear we invite in. The more fear we invite in, the more unsettled our thoughts are. It takes considerable effort to break out of this cycle, and without the right support and tools to do it, it can feel nearly impossible to do. The causes. There is always a reason or a cause behind everything that happens. This includes the thoughts you have. Very rarely do thoughts randomly spring to mind for no apparent reason. When you catch yourself overthinking, there is always going to be a reason behind it. Something that sparked that train of thought. It is now up to you to identify what those triggers are. Now, this may be something you're reluctant or hesitant to do at first, but it needs to be done nonetheless. It is important to identify your causes. Only when you know the root cause of any problem can you then begin to fix it. You're not alone. Excessive thoughts are something a lot of people struggle with each day. We've all had those moments where the brain seems to go a mile a minute, and it seems impossible to quiet all that noise that it's making. Telling your brain to slow down and stop is not easy, especially when the brain seems to come up with more problems faster than it can produce the solution. Let's look at some of the common excessive thinking triggers. Trigger number 1, social media. Social media usage has skyrocketed within the last decade. We spend more time on platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat more than we do on any other online space. What do you do when you find yourself idle or with some free time on your hands? You pick up your phone and start scrolling through your news feed. Whether we like to admit it or not, social media is changing why and how we do certain things. It is even changing the way we think and has become one of the many triggers for the tendency to overthink. Why? Because when we're on social media, we start comparing. We compare the life we have to the ones we see on social media. We compare our lives to that of our family and friends who seem to be having it all. Someone just got engaged. Someone celebrating an anniversary. Someone else is about to jet off on a holiday you've been dying to go on. Someone just got promoted. When you look at all these, it becomes almost impossible not to compare. You look at all the smiling faces and enthusiastic announcements and start to think, why not me? Why do they seem to have it all? Why can't I get that lucky? Why does my life have to be this way? It's no wonder social media usage has been linked to higher levels of depression and loneliness. An entire generation is growing up with lower self-esteem levels than the generation before. As if that wasn't worrying enough, they're growing up with higher levels of anxiety and a penchant for excessive thinking. They don't want to be obsessed with their thoughts, but they can't seem to help it. Amid all that comparison and overthinking, we forget that not everything we see on social media is as it seems. The grass will always seem greener than it is on the other side. As excessive negative thoughts start swimming through our mind, we forget to remember that social media is where people come to share the positive aspects of their lives. Most people don't share the struggles they go through because they don't want anyone else to know they're struggling. Would you share your struggles on social media? Regardless, since social media is a big part of our lives today, it has unfortunately become one of the biggest contributors to negative excessive thinking, poor self-esteem, self-doubt, and dissatisfaction. Trigger number 2, relationship anxiety. Excessive thinking is a regular occurrence among those who struggle with anxiety and who also happen to be in relationships. Specifically, romantic relationships. Now, relationship anxiety may not be a common diagnosis under the list of all the other anxiety disorders, but it is common, and the effects can be as devastating as all the other forms of anxiety. Overthinkers and anxiety sufferers struggle when they are in a relationship. They constantly seek reassurance or approval from their partner, looking for validation that they are still loved. When they don't get the desired response they were hoping for, their mind starts going into a tailspin, churning out all sorts of possible scenarios about why their partner is not responding the way that they hoped. There could be several reasons why relationships might become a trigger for your excessive thoughts and anxiety. It could be a bad dating experience you had in the past that left you scarred to this day. Perhaps you struggle with insecurity and low self-esteem. Maybe you're afraid to open yourself up to your partner and expose the vulnerable side of yourself out of fear of getting hurt. Even the fear of getting hurt could send your thoughts and emotions hurtling out of control. Here's the interesting bit. People who struggle with relationship anxiety would still rather be in a relationship than be alone. Yet, when they become intimately involved with someone, the anxiety rears its ugly head and sabotages the relationship, thanks to all the overthinking and doubt, insecurities, and fears that are present. Without any way of controlling your thoughts or emotions, they can quickly get out of control, and it won't be long before you end up pushing your partner away. Your excessive negative thoughts will always be at the back of your mind, whispering ideas that the relationship is either doomed to fail or will eventually fail anyway. For that matter, how do you be sure that you genuinely love the person you're with? Where's the guarantee that the relationship is going to last a lifetime? How do we know if our partners love us the same way we love them? Could it be that we love them more than they love us? Overthinkers need constant validation, guarantees, and the need for control. They crave certainty and the security of knowing exactly how everything is going to turn out. Unfortunately, that's not possible. The dangerous effects of overthinking. Overthinking is a dangerous and unhealthy habit that needs to be broken. It will do nothing for you except to consume your energy and suck the happiness from your life. It puts a halt in your ability to make effective decisions, and you end up wasting a lot of time and energy being stuck in your head instead of taking proactive measures to create the outcomes you want. It's a habit that will leave you stagnant, sort of like tying a rope around your leg, and at the other end of the rope is a pole. Instead of moving forward, you find yourself running in circles around the pole, going nowhere fast. Overthinking is the root of several problems, one of which is that it leads to an increased risk of developing mental illness. According to a study conducted in 2013 that was published in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology, and overthinking can lead to an increased risk of developing mental health problems. Ruminating traps you in a vicious negative cycle that can be extremely difficult to break out of if you don't have the right support and tools at your disposal. The unhappier you feel, the more your mental health declines, which eventually leads to some of the mental health problems talked about below. Some of these problems include, it causes mental illness, according to a study conducted in 2013, that was published in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology. Overthinking can lead to an increased risk of developing mental health problems, if you weren't dealing with these already. Ruminating traps you in a vicious negative cycle that can be extremely difficult to break out of if you don't have the right support and tools at your disposal. The unhappier you feel, the more your mental health declines, which eventually leads to some of the mental health problems talked about below. It causes anxiety. Your thoughts create emotions. It could be anything from grief, anger, sadness, happiness, joy, jubilation, eagerness, nervousness, and more. These are the sensations produced by thought. Anxious people are known to be overthinkers. They create so many possible scenarios in their minds about all the bad things that could possibly happen that they find themselves constantly plagued by anxiety. They worry about the future, and that stops them from living freely in the present. Living with so much anxiety each day makes them miserable, exhausted, and in more dire circumstances, it could lead to depression and suicidal thoughts. Yes, it is quite possible to literally think yourself to death. It causes depression. Anxiety comes from worrying about the future, while depression is a consequence of holding on to the past. Your thoughts keep you trapped in the events that have already happened, even though there's nothing you can do to change it now. However, overthinking is just one of the many possible causes of depression, and it is not solely responsible for this condition alone. Thinking about past events repeatedly, wishing you could go back in time or change it, will only make you miserable. Because there's no way to go back in time. Yet, some people continue to allow thoughts of the past to be a heavy burden that they carry with them every waking moment, leading to their feelings of unhappiness so strong it becomes depression. They waste precious time almost every day thinking about the what-ifs, and wondering what would have happened if things had gone differently. What if is a question that weighs heavily on their mind, and each time they think about it, they only become more miserable. The past cannot be changed, and the best you can do is to take the lessons from experience and use them for the benefit of your future to make better decisions. Like anxiety, depression can eventually lead to suicidal thoughts if your thoughts get the better of you. It causes insomnia. Does your worrying brain keep you awake all night long? Tossing and turning, you try to go to sleep, but the minute you close your eyes, your mind goes right back to whatever it is you were worrying about. Overthinking causes insomnia, and even when your body may be tired, your mind remains active enough to keep you awake because your worried thoughts just won't leave you alone. Forcing yourself to go to sleep is not going to work either. Falling asleep is a mechanism that your mind cannot control, and if your mind is too busy overthinking to shut down properly for the night, you'll be left to deal with insomnia. Trouble falling asleep is not something to be taken lightly. Sleep is essential for our overall well-being. To function at our best each day, we need to get enough sleep every night. To get the proper sleep our bodies need each night, the mind needs to be fully relaxed, which you can't do if your mind is consumed by an unending stream of thoughts. Your thoughts are powerful. They create the experiences that you have, and each time you overthink, you're sabotaging your happiness and well-being. If you've tried to forcibly control your thoughts before this, you probably haven't had much luck. This is why you're reading this book. The more you try to forcibly control your mind, the more resistance it seems to give. That's why overcoming negativity feels like such a struggle. Your mind is resisting because it is biased toward the negative, and it wants to stay in that zone where it feels comfortable. But when you observe your thoughts rather than try to control them, they'll automatically start to slow down as they pass in and out of your mind. Overcoming the habit of overthinking is not about forcing control. It is about understanding and acknowledgement. To understand what you're up against, acknowledge its presence and try to find a workable solution without trying to force control. That's when you're one step closer to becoming the master of your mind. Chapter 1: How to Stop Overthinking. Overthinking is one of the most common mental conditions in the world, and unfortunately, it is also one of the most debilitating. You might think that it is no big deal, everybody gets lost in their thoughts sometimes, right? But when overthinking hits you, it hits you hard. This is especially troubling if you have trouble with anxiety. Now, if you have any past experience in falling into the almost endless spiraling pit of despair that is overthinking, then you know just how horrible it is. Overthinking can prevent you from enjoying the things that you used to love doing, like going to parties, walking in the park, or just meeting with friends. Overthinking can also negatively affect your performance at work. It makes you lose motivation, makes you procrastinate on your tasks, and thus ruining whatever chances of job progression you might have. Overthinking can also ruin your personal relationships. No one wants to be around a person who is always complaining, cranky, and has such a short temper, so you will have very few friends, and they might not be sticking around for much longer. If the picture painted above seems familiar to you, then you are probably already aware that there is something wrong about you, and that you are already desperate to find a way to fix yourself and start living again. However, it seems like everything you do seems futile. It's as if there is always an insurmountable hurdle in front of you. Overthinking not only leaves you mentally drained, but it also makes you feel exhausted physically. It's like having an energy vampire latched permanently on your neck, and it is constantly feeding on what little mental and physical energy you have. However, you should not lose hope just yet. there are plenty of ways that you can use to overcome your chronic overthinking problem. But first, you need to start with understanding the core problem. You need to know what overthinking is, and from there, you can start looking for the most viable solutions. Overthinking disorder defined. Everyone gets sucked into the rabbit hole of obsessive thoughts sometimes, and when it happens occasionally, then it is fine. However, when overthinking starts to consume your life, that is when it becomes a chronic mental problem. Not everyone is prone to overthink, but some are more likely to suffer from it. For instance, people with a history of struggling with anxiety are almost always dealing with overthinking and its consequences daily. In fact, overthinking is actually one of the triggers that cause anxiety in most people. Even if you do not have any history of mental health problems, if you consider yourself as a problem solver of sorts, then you are prone to overthinking. The thing you consider as your most valuable asset, which is your analytical mind, can become your worst enemy when your overthinking is triggered. Analytical thinkers are the ones that are easily pulled into an endless loop of unproductive and irrational thoughts. In addition, if you are at a low point in your life where you have unusually high levels of uncertainty, it can trigger your overthinking disorder. If you just experienced a major loss in your life, like you just got fired from your job, your significant other left you, or someone close to you recently died, these events might cause your mind to an uncontrollable spiral of unproductive thoughts. What are the symptoms of overthinking? Now that you have an idea of what overthinking is, the next thing that you need to know is the signs of overthinking to look out for. Knowing the symptoms will inform you that you might need to be wary of the status of your mental health. Maybe consider getting professional help. You can somehow gauge how deep into overthinking you are by identifying which symptoms have already manifested. If you find that you have signs of being a chronic overthinker, then you should probably consider getting professional help ASAP. You have trouble getting to sleep? You cannot turn off your thoughts, even when you try. In fact, your thoughts actually start racing even faster when you try to stop them. All of these worries and doubts swirling in your head agitates you and prevents you from getting enough rest. Overthinkers know the feeling of not getting enough sleep, almost too well actually. Insomnia happens because you have no control over your brain. You cannot shut off the chain of negative thoughts going through your mind at 100 miles an hour. All of the things that worried you throughout the day come back just when you hit the sack, and you feel so wired that you cannot fall asleep. If you are having difficulty calming your mind on your own, you can try different relaxing activities before you go to bed. There are plenty of things that might help you ease your mind just enough to let you get some sleep, like meditation, writing on a journal, adult coloring books, drawing, painting, reading a book, or even just having a nice conversation with a loved one. Do anything that can shift your attention away from the negative thoughts long enough for you to get some sleep. You start to self-medicate? Numerous medical researches have discovered that most people suffering from overthinking disorder have turned to use recreational drugs, alcohol, overeating, or other ways to get a grip on their emotions somehow. Overthinkers feel the need to rely on external stimuli because they believe that their internal resources, aka their minds, are already compromised. It is never a good idea to turn to try to treat yourself from overthinking. Odds are, you will still be overthinking afterward, and you have to deal with a different problem brought about by your self-medication. You are always tired. If you are constantly feeling tired, you need to take action. Fatigue is your body's way of telling you to listen to it because there is something wrong going on. You should not ignore it and just hop from one activity to the next. Usually, fatigue is caused by physical overexertion and lack of rest. However, overthinking can also cause fatigue and exhaustion. Your mind is like a muscle. If you are constantly burdening it with dozens of heavy, negative thoughts all the time, and not even giving it some time to recover, it will get exhausted and cause you to burn out. Back when humans were still living off the land, people did not have that many things to worry about, which means they do not have quite as many things to think about as well. In today's modern world, people lead complicated lives that require them to accomplish a lot of things in a short amount of time. In this fast-paced world, the need to slow down every once in a while is crucial for people's well-being. So, whenever you feel fatigued, or better yet, if you feel close to it, slow things down and figure out what your body and your mind need before doing anything else. You tend to overanalyze everything. Overthinkers have one major problem, and that is that they always feel that they need to be in control of everything. They plan out every aspect of their lives, some of them even go as far as planning up to the smallest detail. They feel that doing this is the only way they can feel safe, but it always seems to backfire at them because it is actually impossible to plan for everything that will happen in their lives. Even so, they still continue to plan out their futures, and they get anxious when unexpected things happen, and they always seem to be unexpected things happening all the time. Overthinkers hate dealing with things that they do not have control over, and they fear the unknown. When unexpected problems do surface, they cause them to sit and mull things over instead of taking immediate action to solve the unexpected problem. Numerous medical studies have shown that overthinking leads to making poor judgment calls, which is why overthinking does not really help. When you catch yourself just before you start overthinking, try your best to bring your thoughts back to the present by taking deep breaths and thinking happy thoughts. Before your negative thoughts go rampant inside your head, acknowledge them, and think about what they can do for you presently. Doing this alone is usually enough to get rid of these negative thoughts because you will discover that their only purpose is to cause you stress. You are afraid of failure? You fancy yourself a perfectionist, and you often think about how awful you would feel if you were to fail somehow. This fear of failure can be so strong that it paralyzes you, and it keeps you from learning from your prior mistakes, which often lead to you repeating them. Overthinkers often cannot accept failure, and they will do everything they can to avoid it. Ironically, they think that the only way to not fail is to do nothing at all. They mistakenly believe that to avoid failure, they should not put themselves in a position to fail at all, which also means they are not in the position to succeed as well. If this sounds like you, remember that you are more than just your failures. No one could even remember the last time that you screwed up, it's just you. Also, keep in mind that it is impossible to escape failure, and you should never avoid it at all. For failure allows you to grow and evolve. You are afraid of what the future holds. Instead of being excited about the things that you are yet to experience, your anxiety and fear of what could go wrong paralyze you into doing nothing. If you are afraid of what the future could bring, then your fear keeps you trapped inside your own mind. Research shows that this fear of the future can be so crippling that sufferers tend to turn to drugs and/or alcohol just so they can tune out the negative thoughts that are clamoring inside their heads. You don't trust your own judgment. You cannot help yourself from second-guessing all of your decisions, from your outfit, what you will be having for lunch, or even what you will be doing for the day. You are always afraid that you will be making the wrong choices, and you often rely on others to reassure you that you made the right call. Overthinkers are natural perfectionists. They constantly analyze, reanalyze, and reanalyze again, all situations that they find themselves in. They do not want to put themselves in a position where there is even a slight chance of failure. They do not want to make the wrong choice, so they take their sweet time making up their minds. They do not trust themselves enough to make the right decision for anything. They are so out of touch from their intuition that all of their decisions come from their brain, and this is not always right, as there are times when you just need to follow your gut instinct. Also, if your brain is bogged down from dozens of negative thoughts, it is hard to make a clear decision. You suffer from frequent tension headaches? Tension headaches feel as if there is a thick rubber band wrapped around your temples, and it is slowly getting tighter. Aside from the headache, you might also feel a sharp pain or stiffness in your neck. If you suffer from chronic tension headaches, it is a sign that you are overworking yourself, and you need a rest. And by rest, it also includes rest from mental activities, like overthinking. Headaches are a sign that your body needs to take a break. This includes your mind. Besides, you might not notice it, but when you overthink, you are actually thinking of the same things over and over again. Overthinkers usually have negative thought patterns that loop around themselves. To fight this, you need to break this loop by reinforcing positive thoughts. Take deep breaths, and focus your mind on every time your chest rises and falls. Being mindful of the present will help you get rid of negative thoughts and the tension headache that came with them. Stiff joints and muscle pain. It might sound far-fetched, but overthinking can actually affect your entire body, not just your mind. And once your physical body is affected by your out-of-control negative thoughts, it will not be long until your emotional well-being gets hit too. Until you address and get rid of the underlying issues that cause you to overthink, the body pains will continue. Overthinking might start in your mind, but its effects will gradually creep into the other parts of your body. You cannot stay in the present. When you overthink, you will find it difficult living in the present moment and actually enjoy your life as it happens. Overthinking causes you to lose focus on the things happening around you. You are so engrossed at thinking about your problems over and over that it seems like you are trapped inside your own mind. If your mind gets bogged down by a ton of unnecessary thoughts, you are removing yourself from the present, and this can and will negatively affect your personal relationships. You need to open yourself to the world around you. Do not let yourself get too wrapped up in negative thoughts. The only thoughts that you should allow inside your mind are those that serve your well-being. Ignore, and forget about the ones that bring you down. There is so much beauty in life, and the opportunities for incredible experiences are unlimited. However, you can only appreciate them if you can manage to tune out the idle chatter in your mind and start listening to your heart instead. Different causes of overthinking. Again, there is nothing wrong about thinking about your problems so you can think of a solution for them. it becomes worrisome when you have a bad habit of twisting narratives around in your head until you can see every angle and side to it. Overthinking is not productive as it just makes you dwell over your problems. You are not looking for a solution for them, and you are only making yourself feel miserable. To find an effective way to break your overthinking habit, you need to find out what caused it in the first place. Below are some of the more common reasons as to why people tend to overthink their problems rather than actually find a solution for them. 1. Lack of self-confidence. If you are not self-confident, you tend to doubt every little thing that you say or do. When you hesitate, even a little, about the things that you want to do, you are letting uncertainty and fear creep into your mind, and it will be very difficult to get them out of there. You can never really tell what your decisions will take you. Even if you planned every little detail, the outcome will still not be exactly what you hoped for. It could either be better or worse than what you planned. This is why you should learn to take risks and not torture yourself when you did not get the results you wished for. 2. When you worry too much. It is only natural to worry when you encounter new and unfamiliar things and events. However, if you worry too much that you cannot even imagine a positive outcome, then it will trigger you to overthink. This is problematic because worry attracts even more problems. Sometimes it creates ones out of thin air, which causes overthinking to go even deeper. Instead of mulling over how things could go wrong, it is better to entertain more positive thoughts, like how much better you would feel if a certain event turns in your favor. 3. When you overthink to protect yourself. Some people believe that they can protect themselves from troubles whenever they overthink, but the truth is that overthinking is a trap that kills your progress. Overthinking and not doing anything to change the status quo might seem good, but stifling your progress is never a good thing at all. Also, when you overthink, you are not really staying in the same position. You are actually undoing whatever amount of progress you achieved thus far. 4. You are unable to turn off your mind. Many overthinkers became that way because they cannot seem to get their minds off their problems no matter how hard they try. People who are sensitive to stress live as if they are constantly wound up tightly. They have somehow forgotten how to relax and change their chain of thoughts. Overthinking happens when a person stresses too much on a single problem, and he could not turn his focus away from it. 5. You are always chasing after perfection. Being a perfectionist is not necessarily a good thing. In fact, one could argue that being a perfectionist is not good at all. Most people who struggle with perfectionism are constantly anxious. They often wake up in the middle of the night, thinking of the things that they could have done better. Being a perfectionist causes overthinking because you are always trying to outdo yourself. Chapter 2. Improve your life. Focusing on getting rid of the bad habits isn't enough. Now, we need to introduce good habits into our new life. I hope you've continued to work on the thought interruption for all those unneeded or negative thoughts. You've even come up with a new activity to try or go back to from when you were a child. It's time to focus on you as a person and what it is you want out of life. There are several things you can do regularly to prime your mind, body, and spirit for the new you. Let's look at a few of them. Prioritize relationships with people, not things. In today's information-saturated society, it has become natural to pull out our phones whenever there is any amount of downtime. When you look at people waiting in lines all over the city, in stores, waiting to be seated in restaurants, they are always sitting or standing with their heads down, noses in their phones. And why not? On our phones, we can play fun games, chat with friends, read blog posts or news stories, keep up with our celebrities. Wait a second, didn't we just talk about getting rid of information overload? That's right. Now, it is time to prioritize your relationships and interactions with other people. Let's set a small challenge for you to try this week. When you go to the grocery store or to the bank, or maybe even when you take your family out to dinner next time, leave your phone in the car. What? Yes, that's what I said. Leave your phone in the car. When you are standing in line, and this may be a little nerve-wracking, try saying something nice to the person behind or in front of you. I know, you might get a confused look, maybe. They will be too immersed in their own phones to notice you, or perhaps it will have been so long since they've received real human communication, they won't even know what to do. But I challenge you. Talk to someone in line, then see what happens. Odds are, you're going to have a positive interaction that will stay with you for the rest of the day. Most people really enjoy chit-chatting with strangers at the store. A lot of people get a big boost in mood from even the littlest interactions like that. No matter how good it seems to feel when you get a new text or a like on your Facebook post, it's never going to feel the same as genuine human interactions. So, do yourself a favor and challenge yourself to connect with someone you don't know at least once a week. Now let's concentrate on the relationships in your life with your loved ones, friends, and/or family. Think of one person who you consider a good friend that you haven't spoken to in a week or more. Why is that? Is it because you've been busy with work? Busy with the kids? For whatever reason, you've decided that other things in your life take precedence over your relationship with that friend. I would ask you to consider if you've really been too busy to fit in a 15-minute phone call with a friend. Perhaps you think you've been too tired after work and just haven't made it a priority. This is something I would challenge you to change in terms of mindset. Human relationships and friendships are the most important aspects of our lives, and it would be a shame to sacrifice valuable time with those people for a night of Netflix and pizza every single night of the week. I know work is exhausting, and you want to come home and just watch TV and forget about the world. But we've talked about this, too. Why would you waste away your life like this? If your job is so taxing that you can't concentrate on anything else and you are so desperate to get away from it that you can't function in the evenings, maybe it's time to reevaluate your career choices. But I'll wait until we get to that tip in a few minutes. Right now, your challenge is to set a date this week to go out and meet up with one of your favorite people for a chat and maybe dinner. If you don't want to spend money, invite them over to your place and plan a meal together. Maybe you want to go over there because their house is quieter, that's fine. Whatever you decide to do, the important thing is that you set the goal of making time for a friend this week. This is a really great habit that you will get a lot out of. Much more than that pint of Moose Tracks ice cream in the fridge can offer. Maintain that journal and track your progress. Journaling is a great way to keep your mind focused and record your progress. It's great to have a written source to come back to any time you feel like you need a little encouragement. Try to write a little bit in your journal every single day. Write about how you feel, what challenges you've succeeded with recently, and your determination to keep going. This is also a great way to keep yourself accountable. Write down what you've challenged yourself to do this week and write it down right away when you've completed it. Keep going, and soon you will have pages of great work to look back on when you feel you are losing steam or need a pick-me-up. Because we all have those days, and that's okay. Like I said before, this is a big undertaking. And it's important that your challenges not turn into chores and sources of overthinking just like the ones you've worked so hard to banish. Challenge yourself, but don't overburden yourself. I'm laying out several options in the hopes that there will be a few that really stand out to you as something you think would drastically improve your daily life and your thought processes. And remember, no one changes their lives overnight. Keep in mind that your journal doesn't have to just be filled with words. If you're like me and you enjoy motivational quotes or inspiring pictures, use your journal or notebook as a sort of scrapbook and include pictures, quotes, cartoons, even stuff like ticket stubs and birthday cards, stuff you might otherwise lose or throw away. These things are a lot of fun to look back on, and you will be happy you kept them later on. Eat healthier. Eat healthier, not eat healthy. I put it this way because there is no surer way to derail your progress than to overload you with a challenge like completely changing the way you eat immediately. If you are already a pretty healthy eater, that's great. But I would caution you and others alike to not get too caught up in any nutrition hype or fad that seems to be eating up your Facebook and social media feeds. This is another great example of letting something intended to improve your life become a source of obsession, overthinking, stress, and feelings of failure. Nutrition plans and supplement marketing is just as big as any other form of marketing, and you should never adopt a diet or nutrition plan as the final say of nutrition. Use some common sense, don't overeat, and try to eat more healthy stuff than unhealthy stuff. That's really all you need to worry about right now. Don't go on an extremely low-carb diet right now. You're dealing with something far more important than that. If you're wondering what a healthier eating habit looks like, would suggest keeping a record of what you eat in a day for 2 or 3 days. Then review it. Is something standing out as potentially harmful? For example, if you're eating frozen pizzas and cookies every night and notice you feel like crap, this could be a good reason why. I'm not saying eat salad and quinoa every day, but everyone can make 1 or 2 small changes to their eating routines and see a big improvement in overall energy and mood. Try to lower your sugar intake and eat a few more green things a week. That's all you need to do to start. Small steps, like anything else, will see you go far. Exercise. It's time for everyone's favorite healthy mind/body tip, exercise. Now, don't groan. No, you don't have to start training for a marathon or buy a complete set of dumbbells for your new impromptu home gym. I've said it before, and I'll say it for nearly every tip on this list: one small step at a time. When you break things down and take it one step at a time, you will be far more successful with your goals than if you try to take on too much at a time. It is also so important, especially with exercise, to evaluate your personal condition and ability. Don't compare yourself with the YouTube fitness stars doing crazy workouts every single day and chugging protein shakes. This is about you and your personal improvement, and no one else's plan is going to match yours perfectly. Just like with healthy eating habit, the first step is to take a look at what you are already doing and move up a rung on the activity level. That's all. If you're someone who enjoys working out but doesn't seem to find the time to do it, then I'm calling you out. Exercise is not about the length of time, it's about how hard you work, and I'm only talking a few minutes each day to start. If you are starting at zero activity, then your goal is simply to think of opportunities to walk or stand instead of sit. If you can, fit in a walk around the block or go to a park and walk a little bit. If you're at home, get up from your desk and do something physical every hour or two to get your blood pumping a little more. It's about making small changes. Turn those small changes into habits then. Concentrate on moving up another rung. A lot of people think they need a pricey gym membership to get in better shape. This is just not true. There are tons of exercises you can do at home with zero equipment and little space that are very adequate for improving overall health. Maybe you're a unique case if you're actually training to compete in bodybuilding competitions. But most of us are going to see a huge improvement in mood, energy, and overall health from simply turning some of that sitting time into a little exercise. Search the internet or go on YouTube if you are unsure of what to do. Things like squats, push-ups, sit-ups, plank hold, jogging, walking, running, and dancing require zero equipment and can be done almost anywhere you feel like it. If you think it would motivate you if you had a partner alongside you, go for it. Go to a group fitness class every week if you think that would be more fun. The main goal is simply to add some physical activity to your schedule that amounts to more than you were doing before. Again, don't overwhelm yourself by trying to start a 30-day challenge or extreme 5-day workout schedule. Your focus right now is your mind. Don't clutter it back up where you've worked so hard to find clarity. Make time for you regularly. This is another one that can mean lots of different things to different people. Making time for you simply means setting aside time every day to engage in an activity that makes you feel good and calm you. The exception I'm going to suggest here is that you don't make this chocolate or junk food time. Yes, chocolate makes you feel good, for a few minutes, but overall, it would be a terrible idea to form the habit of eating badly in the name of you time. I'm sure there are other, more healthy alternatives. Do you enjoy massages? Of course, most people aren't going to get a massage every single day, but maybe once a month you treat yourself to a professional massage. On a daily basis, find something that relaxes you and set aside half an hour or more just for that. Even if it's just taking a nap. Read a book, light a candle, do something that clears and relaxes your mind and doesn't work you up. This is about unwinding, but instead of replacing the stress of your day with something loud and distracting for the rest of the night, the goal is to calm and quiet your mind and body. Stretching is a great way to do this, especially if you've been stuck in an office chair all day. Maybe you just want to have a conversation with your partner or a friend over a cup of coffee. If you need to, brainstorm on a piece of paper before choosing something that speaks to you. To-do lists. Many of us like to have every day organized, and that's great. The problem of overthinking creeps in when we start to obsess about getting every single thing on the list done, even those things that are not essential. Part of forming good habits is learning when to say no to something that you just don't have the mental energy to do if it is non-essential. If you feel stressed but you're making strides toward changing your life and habits, then it's okay if you want to pass on that work outing or that birthday party for a friend of a friend you don't even know very well. If you think your time would be better spent at home relaxing or doing something you enjoy, then choose yourself. You don't always have to choose to give your valuable time and energy to others just because they ask for it. The obligation is a powerful force in a lot of people's lives, and many people end up feeling guilty if they don't always say yes to invitations or requests. But this is just another pile of clutter building up in your mind leading to overthinking. Feelings and thoughts of guilt are just as powerful as any other emotion, and you should protect yourself from them. Organize your to-do list by priority. Obviously, grocery shopping to feed your kids comes before trimming the hedges in the front yard, and this chore should be further down on the list. Maybe make a separate list for things you need to accomplish today and things that need to be completed this week. This will give your mind a little more space and comfort. Instead of seeing a list of 20 things to do today, you may get to 5 or 6 things today and the rest can be planned throughout the week as you have time and energy. Ask for help when you need it. This can be a big one for those overthinkers who are also overachievers and perfectionists. Sometimes, we commit to too much, then feel obligated to push ourselves too hard to fulfill what we've committed to. Don't try to be Superman or Superwoman. There are going to be times when you need help, especially if you are juggling responsibilities with work and also a family. Have a conversation about it with your loved ones and friends, and you will find that most of the time they are willing to help you out. It is important that you not feel like a failure for asking for help. No one gets through life alone. Let this be an opportunity to bond and form fresh connections while learning to work together. You will feel much better and your relationships will become stronger. Be grateful. Clearing your mind of clutter is also about cleansing your emotions. When you begin to get rid of clutter and negative thoughts in your mind, as well as clutter in your environment that is connected to harmful emotions, it is important that you start replacing those negative feelings with positive ones. At first, it may take effort and a written reminder to get yourself going, but eventually, the goal is to make these thoughts automatic. Gratitude is a powerful thing for the mind. It can instantly turn a stressful, bad day into something positive and hopeful. Instead of concentrating on the challenges you are facing and the things you don't have, think about all of the wonderful things in your life that you can be thankful for. Even the small things. Is the utility bill paid for this month? That is something to be thankful for. Do you have friends who care about you and that you have fun spending time with? Lots of people don't, so be grateful. Is your bed nice and soft with clean sheets? Look forward to sleeping tonight and be grateful. There are 1,000 reasons all around you to feel grateful, and it is important to start noticing them, each and every day. Gratitude comes with a lot of wonderful, warm feelings. It also forces you to refocus your mind on what's going on right in front of you and around you in the present moment. A lot of us get stuck in thinking about yesterday, or the week before, or even years before, then our minds shift to tomorrow and what's happening this weekend and next month and next year. How often do you just sit down and look around you and feel thankful for where you are in life? This is so important, and I hope you make this one of your top priorities as you build new positive life habits. Chapter 3: Positive Attitude and Effective Tips to Change Negative Thinking. Positive habits require positive thinking. You are about to go on a vacation to Bali. Here are a few situations that I would like to present to you. See if you like any of them. You are an adventurer. You love taking risks. It's all about the adrenaline and facing your fears. You enjoy extreme sports. However, I tell you that all you get to do on your vacation is stay in your hotel and relax. You are an explorer. You love to see the sights, people, food, and events of the city you visit. To you, the excitement of discovery comes before everything else. I tell you that you are only allowed to visit a restaurant frequented by tourists and nothing else. And maybe a shopping mall. You enjoy relaxation. The main purpose of your vacation is to sit back, remove your footwear, and sip on that cocktail while enjoying a lovely book. But guess what? I wake you up at 5 a.m. and tell you that we are going rock climbing. Would you really enjoy your vacation in any of the three scenarios? Would you have positive emotions when thinking about your trip? In fact, you might not even listen to what I have to say and do what you came to do. If you do not like something, chances are that you are going to find a way to avoid it. It might happen immediately or it might happen eventually. The same goes with your habits as well. All of the above steps mentioned under sticking to good habits try to encourage you to do so. But they will need the assistance of your positive mindset. Now the important question is, just how do you develop this mindset? The power of positive thinking. You might think that any subject related to positive thinking might be covered mostly by psychologists or life coaches. You might have never thought that the medical community might actually start looking into the topic. But they did, and the results are pretty surprising. According to Mayo Clinic staff, ND, positive thinking provides you with many benefits including lower rates of depression, longer life, lower stress levels, improved cardiovascular health, improved coping skills during times of stress. Of course, a lot of people might say, how is cardiovascular health involved in all of this? Your cardiovascular health depends on a lot of factors. It depends on your diet, the hours of sleep you get, the degree of stress you face, and more. Negative thoughts fuel negative emotions, which in turn causes stress to arise easily in your brain. For example, you are in bad traffic and your thinking is already in a negative state. You are already adding stress to your brain because your thoughts keep conjuring ideas and memories that trigger stress. Because of that, you might not be able to deal with the traffic well. This means more stress, which in turn means that you exacerbate your negative emotions. And eventually, you have a cycle. When your body is under a lot of stress, it increases cholesterol and blood pressure levels. That in turn affects your heart. Positive thinking is not just essential for good mental health, but contributes to good physical health as well. How exactly can we create a positive mindset? Let us examine some of the ways. Tip number 1. Start your day with affirmations. The tone you adopt in the morning can dictate how the rest of the day might proceed. Why not set a positive tone for yourself? In fact, have you ever had an experience where you woke up in a state of panic, wondering if you forgot to complete an important task or if you are late for something, only to realize that nothing has happened and it was just your nerves? Or have you woken up once in such a state of stress that you could not even finish the coffee you made for yourself? All of these situations have occurred because when you start your day poorly, the emotions trickle over to the next day. Eventually, you are living in a constant state of stress and negativity. Affirmations are simple phrases that help you focus on positive emotions. Every time you wake up, start the day with phrases like, "Today, I shall face my day with courage and positivity." Today might be challenging, but so is any day of the week. I shall not let these challenges change my perspective of the world and create negativity. I am an incredible person, and despite today's events, I will not look down on myself. Today is going to be a good day. I'm going to be awesome and nothing is going to convince me otherwise. You can always create your own positive affirmations depending on the situation. Tip number 2. Think about the good things, no matter how small they are. Don't wait for a big moment to occur in your life. Look at every small event as another positive contribution. Here is the reality of life. No matter how much you want to avoid obstacles, you are going to encounter them every day. Each obstacle is something that has the potential to add to a whole pile of negative things. Eventually, you will feel that your life has too much negativity in it. What you are experiencing is small things that have accumulated to become something intimidating. The same rule applies with the positive things in your life as well. Keep collecting them, no matter how little they seem. Eventually, the number of positive things will add up to become a dominating presence in your life. Tip number 3. Crank up your humor. Don't let the dark situations get you down. Teach yourself to see the humor in things. Remind yourself that the situation you are in is going to get better eventually. After all, life goes on. Regardless of what happens to whom, life is a continuous ticking clock. So, make a joke out of the things that have happened to you and move on. Tip number 4. Failures are lessons. Success finds those people who are not brooding over their failures, but are finding ways to move past them. But the only way that can happen is if they choose to learn from their failures. You too should approach your failures with tact and wisdom. Let your failures teach you a lesson, do not let them define your life. Bill Gates is defined by the success of Microsoft because he let that be the focus of his attention. If he had let his failures define him, then he would be in a different position rather than on the Forbes list of billionaires. Tip number 5. Watch out for negative self-talk. It's not unusual for people to berate themselves when they commit an error. How many times have you thought, "I shouldn't have done it. I was going to fail anyway," when you tried something and didn't succeed at it? Or you might have thought one of these critical thoughts, "Why do I even bother with such things anyway? What am I doing? I should have just stuck to what I know. If only I hadn't tried something new, this wouldn't have happened." Every time you create a negative statement about yourself, you are forcing your brain to think in a particular manner. And we don't need to go into the details of how your subconscious is going to latch on to those negative thoughts and run with them. So, what should you do if you are faced with negative self-evaluations? You turn them into positive ones. Let's say that you tried to do something and it failed. Rather than thinking, "I shouldn't have tried." This is what happens when you don't stick to what you do. Think of it this way, so that's what happens if I do it this way. Interesting. I'll remember this and make sure I don't do it this way in the future. Or even if I do, I will plan better. Let's look at my other options. Notice the difference? In the second response, you acknowledge that a mistake has been made. But you see it in a positive light. You allow it to teach you rather than defeat you. Make sure that you are not denying the fact that you have made a mistake. Denial has its consequences. What is so bad about denial, you ask? A lot. One of the things that denial prevents you from doing is seeking help. We are not all perfect. Sometimes, we need help in our endeavors. That does not mean that we are weak or unskilled. It just means that we might need an extra pair of hands, or more, to help us with our project. Denial also prevents us from acknowledging problems. If you feel that there are no problems, even when there are, then you won't learn to grow or deal with them. Eventually, those problems worsen and affect your life immensely at a later time. There are two things you can do with a problem. You can choose to face it and learn to handle it. Or you can choose to ignore it, and watch it dismantle things in your life. Among the two options, the ideal choice is obvious. Focus on the present. People often misunderstand this advice. They think that by being focused on the present, they have to be aware of every ticking minute that passes by. That's not true at all. The idea of being in the present, or practicing mindfulness as people like to say, is that you don't let your mind wander toward things of the past or events of the future. The reason for this is that the things of the past have already occurred and there is nothing you can do to change that. But, what about the things that are yet to happen? Use the steps below. Step 1. Can you deal with the situation? If yes, move on to step 2, else. Move on to step 5. Step 2. Have you already thought of ways to deal with the situation? If yes, move on to step 5, else move on to step 3. Step 3. Can you come up with recommendations, ideas, or solutions to deal with the situation? If you yes, move on to step 4, else go to step 5. Step 4. Do you have a plan of action? If yes, then move to step 5, else create a plan of action and move to step 5. Step 5. Continue with your day and bring your mind back to the present. When you allow the past or present to occupy too much of your time in the present, then you might not perform well or achieve much in the present. Have a positive circle of friends. Let me meet your friends and I can tell you what your future looks like. You might have heard that phrase repeated often. And for good reason. Since it does bear some truth. When you surround yourself with friends who are positive influences in your life, you in turn improve your positivity. Take this study conducted by Harvard psychologists as an example. Fowler and Christakis, 2008. The study was conducted over a period of 20 years and the results showed that happiness is greatly influenced by your social circles. In other words, you might very well be the company you keep. When you surround yourself with positive people, their positivity seeps into your life. You become a sponge, absorbing their attitudes and eventually adding certain quirks to your own personality. Have friends who support you and accept you for who you are. Hence, surround yourself with people who help you increase the positivity in your life. Additionally, you can also find people who can act as your mentors. It could be your parents, siblings, friends, or even grandparents. Being in the company of positive people will allow you to learn from their attitudes. They might even be able to share some of their worldly wisdom with you. Chapter 4. Become a positive thinker. Start with your body now that you know how powerful thought is and how it attracts specific events. It is time for you to become a positive thinker. Positive thinking will transform your life and your environment in a way that you never imagined possible. Bob Proctor was just one example of a person who achieved tremendous success after changing his way of thinking. If he didn't do it, he might have stayed in his dead-end job and continued living his life unhappily. Another example is Pema Chodron, a world-famous Buddhist nun, who was also the author of the best-selling books When Things Fall Apart and No Time to Lose. When Quadrant found it hard to cope with her second divorce, she went to the French Alps to study the ways of Buddhism. It was when she learned the nature of things, that everything passes. She learned that whining about negative circumstances does not help a person at all. She also learned meditation, and how it helps in achieving peace of mind. She started becoming positive, and in just a few years, she became the first American woman to receive full ordination from the Chinese lineage of Buddhism. Afterwards, she has written best-selling books and was teaching positive ways of thinking in different countries. They make it seem easy, but a change in ways of thinking is not an easy feat. It requires a deep understanding of the self. Becoming a positive thinker does not happen overnight. It's not like saying, "I'll think positive from now on," and the next morning, you'll just smile at every misfortune. You would have to take baby steps. You would have to slowly transform yourself until positive thinking becomes your second nature. The best way to start is to be healthy. If you find it hard to start thinking positive, there is actually a way that you can encourage positive thoughts by having a healthy body. The brain needs nutrition to function. It doesn't matter how much optimism you already have, if your brain doesn't get the nutrients it needs, positive thinking will not yield any significant results. Achieving a healthy body is the first step to becoming a positive thinker. Eat right. Water. Most people underestimate the value of drinking enough water, but it's time that you realize that your body is composed of 70% water, and if does not get replenished constantly, most of the nutrients will not get into your blood. Water contains oxygen, which is needed by your blood. When oxygen is absorbed by the blood, it carries with it all the vitamins and nutrients that were dissolved by water as you digest your food. When water is excreted, it carries all the waste that your body collected. Without proper water replenishment, you will have a serious health decline. Drink at least 8 glasses of water every day. Do not count caffeinated and alcoholic beverages, because they actually dehydrate you faster than they hydrate you. Drink a full glass of water right after waking up and right before going to bed. The 6 other glasses should be distributed throughout the day, preferably before and after a meal, to aid digestion. If you want to take advantage of drinking water to boost your health, drink fruit-infused water in the morning. Adding fruits to water at least an hour before drinking adds vitamins and minerals. Fruits contain vitamin C, calcium, magnesium, iron, antioxidants and other valuable nutrients. You can ensure immediate absorption of these components when you take it with water. Protein. Your body needs protein to repair your muscles. You have muscles in almost every part of your body, so it is important that you get as much protein as you can every day. It is hard to think positive when your muscles are tired and burning, or when your stomach is upset. Yes, it has muscles too. So make sure that you get your daily dose of protein. Extreme health advocates would recommend avoiding all types of meat as protein source because it takes a long time to digest it and most types have too much fat. It is not advisable for you to do this as a beginner, unless you're already a vegetarian. Meat is actually a very good source of protein, and it is very accessible. Fat is also not really that bad, as long as you do not consume too much of it. Your brain itself is very fatty, so you cannot avoid it altogether. Your body needs fat as an energy reserve. The key is to find good meat with very little fat. You can start by avoiding red meat. Stick to the white ones like fish and chicken. Also, try your very best to avoid processed meat. Chemical preservatives are known to have ingredients that cause different health problems. If avoiding meat altogether is okay with you, then you can get protein from several different sources. Legumes, spinach and morena are very good sources of protein. Add some of these leafy wonders to every meal to ensure that you are getting protein. Eggs and beans are also very good alternatives to meat. Carbohydrates. Most people in the health industry would frown at the thought of recommended carbohydrates. The thing is, too much of anything is bad. Popular diet programs exclude carbohydrates in their recipes because people who have already gained weight have slow metabolic rates. This is usually because of lack of exercise and unhealthy eating habits. When a person has high carbohydrate intake and slow metabolism, carbohydrates is just broken down to sugar and it stays in the body. This leads to weight gain and diabetes. Just like fat, you cannot remove carbohydrates altogether. Sugar gives your body energy. The best thing is moderation. You can consume carbohydrate-rich food an hour before exercising or doing any strenuous activity. If you are not that active to begin with, then limit your carbohydrate intake to whole wheat bread, fruits, and vegetables. Occasional pizza and pasta are alright, just don't consume it more than twice a week. The sugar that carbohydrates provide will definitely help you feel good and energetic. Vitamins. A lot of people think that it is okay to have unhealthy eating habits, as long as you have a set of tablets to take, you're good to go. That is not true at all. There is a reason why vitamin tablets are called supplements. They are supposed to go hand in hand with your diet. Vitamin capsules may contain what your body needs, but if you do not take enough water, it is not going to be absorbed properly. Some multivitamin capsules also contain minerals that are not digested properly if you do not have enough amino acids, so you still need protein. Food supplements are good as long as they are taken within the right dosage. If you are not sure whether the supplement has the right dosage of the vitamins, then resort to eating fruits and vegetables instead. Getting vitamins from food is a good way to ensure that you do not overdose. The body has its own way controlling mineral levels, so getting it directly from food is definitely much better than getting concentrated versions of it. Also, fruit and vegetables will not cause your liver any harm, and would actually give you fiber to aid in your digestion. Vitamins aid in adrenal function, the main body function for releasing and inhibiting hormones that directly affect stress and relaxation, adrenaline and cortisol. A person who has balanced adrenaline and low cortisol is more likely to feel happy and content than the one who has low adrenaline and high cortisol. Exercise. Deep breathing, one of the best and easiest exercises that you can do to help you become positive is breathing. You breathe every second, of course, but you are not really breathing to exercise. Regular breathing only allows your body to take in enough oxygen to keep your blood pumping. However, it does not allow for your lungs to reach its maximum capacity. If you would want to feel positive, exercise deep breathing after waking up and before going to sleep. How to do a deep breathing exercise. 1. Slowly breathe in, silently counting up to 8. Inhale through the nose. Your belly should slowly deflate as your diaphragm inflates. 2. Once you have reached your lungs' full capacity, hold the air in for 5 seconds. 3. Slowly exhale through your mouth while counting up to 8. 4. Repeat steps 1 to 3 at least 5 times. Stretching. Your muscles suffered long hours of inactivity. Some sleeping positions sometimes cause cramps and numbness as well. To wake your muscles up, you would need to stimulate blood flow. Stretching is a good way to do this without abruptly increasing your heart rate. You can do the simple stretching routine below. 1. Stand with your feet apart. Put both of your hands up with your elbows straight, then imagine that you're reaching for something way above you. Try your best to reach it by stretching your arms and legs to its full length and hold that position for 8 counts, before putting your feet down. Repeat 5 times. 2. Put your right hand above your head, then slowly lean your head to your right shoulder. It will not touch your shoulder, but go as close as you can. Hold this position for 8 counts, then switch to the other side. Repeat 3 times for each side. 3. To stretch your shoulders, lift your arms to your sides. Keep your elbows straight and your palms facing forward. Then stretch your arms backwards. You will feel your back muscles and shoulders contracting. Go as far back as you can and hold it for 8 counts, then go back to your original position. Repeat 5 times. 4. Place your hands on your waist, then lean your upper body to the right side. Keep your back straight. Go as far to the side as you can and hold it for 8 counts before going back to standing position. Afterwards, lean to the left. Repeat 3 times for each side. 5. Finally, to stretch your legs, stand your left leg while you hug your right leg. Keep your back straight and try to keep your knee as close to your upper body as you can. Hold this position for 8 counts before putting your right leg down. Afterwards, do the same for your left leg. Repeat 3 times for each side. Doing short stretching exercises after getting up stimulates blood flow to the muscles. Stretching is also known to stimulate dopamine release in the brain. Dopamine is a pleasure hormone. It is the reason why you get that pleasurable sensation when you stretch in your bed after waking up. Positive thinkers usually have good dopamine levels. Jog/jump, increasing your heart rate stimulates blood flow, adrenaline release, and cortisol inhibition. Having a good blood flow ensures the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to the brain. Adrenaline provides a pumped-up feeling that makes a person look forward to activity, whether physical or mental. Cortisol is a stress response hormone, so lower levels of it reduce the feeling of being upset. Doing little jumps and jogs will help you in increasing the heart rate. It is important to increase the heart rate gradually, as abrupt change in blood pressure may cause problems for those who have constricted blood vessels. Do not do jogs and jumps without stretching first. Jumping/bouncing, lift both of your feet just about an inch off the ground and do it continuously for a minute. Do not do higher than 2 inches, as higher jumps might make you dizzy because of the sudden movement of the cerebrospinal fluid in your head. Keep your knees straight and your arms at your side as you do it. Chapter 5. Challenge your thoughts. Like I said, social media has become the most common distraction that people deal with. We all know that technology plays a huge part in people's lives. We believe it is also a reason for the problem of procrastination. But ironically, it has the answers to your procrastination habits. Since there is technology, you don't have to worry about ending your habit of procrastination. Why? There are numerous ways to overcome the habit of procrastination. Yes, for example, through motivation you can overcome procrastination, but apps and tools sound more practical than motivation. Don't they? So, if you are looking for best anti-procrastination equipment, know that there are many. Small habits, big change. You already know small habits have a bigger impact on your life. For example, if you brush twice a day, you will not see the changes right away, but you will have a great set of teeth when you grow old. Just like that, when you practice simple habits, for now, there will be a massive impact on your life later. So, here are some of the tips that you should follow. An organized individual. Do you think plans can't change your level of productivity? Well, try creating a plan, maybe for the work you have for next week or the work you have to complete tomorrow. And then, stick to the plan and see what happens. It might sound simple. You might even wonder if a simple plan can bring so much difference. Well, yes it can. Through a plan, you organize the work that you have to do. When you organize the work, you understand the process clearly. For example, you have to complete a massive project, but if you just let the huge project be as massive as it is, you will not feel like doing it. You will not be able to see the amount of work you have to do in a day, and that will create boredom and ignorance. Thus, you have to organize the work that you have. Luckily, there are so many great tools and apps that you can find to organize work. More on this later. Make it simple. Another common reason for procrastination is due to having complex tasks. Of course, some tasks can be complicated, but it is not as if you can't simplify them. For that, you have to set simple, achievable goals. Instead of saying, "I'll complete the project," say, "I'll complete the first part of the project today." When you make it sound simple, it will actually be simple. Have a schedule. Once you have a goal, it is important to schedule it because scheduled work has a higher rate of achievement. Break your work into chunks and set a deadline. If you set your own deadline, you will be able to achieve them before the actual deadline boggles your mind. Sometimes, you might come across unexpected situations in life, thus, completing the work before the deadline will help you stay in the safe zone. Set aside distractions. You might already know the things that distract you. For example, if you are addicted to Snapchat, don't keep your phone near you until you get the work done. Or if you are a LinkedIn enthusiast like me, stay offline until you complete the work. Don't even add the Google Chrome extension of LinkedIn because it is incredibly distracting. The moment you see the notification, you might want to check the messages even if you have so much to do. Thus, it is better to put all your distractions aside and focus on the work you have. The Pomodoro Technique. If you don't know what this means, this approach promotes working for 25 minutes and taking a break for 5 minutes. Most people consider this as an effective and excellent solution for procrastination. Honestly, this is a fantastic technique, and you will be able to get a lot of things done if you follow this approach. Moreover, by following this technique, you can ensure the quality of your work as well. During the break, you must not get distracted, thus do something like listening to music, walking, or even screaming to release stress. Whatever it may be, make sure it makes you feel relaxed and comfortable. Thus, the activity that you chose to do should be something that you like, but not will divert your focus. Reward yourself. I don't think anybody hates rewards, so it is highly recommended to reward yourself when you follow your plan. For example, if you set a goal to write 2,500 words within 5 hours, you must treat yourself once you have achieved it. You can reward yourself with ice cream or an episode of your favorite show. However, make sure that you'll get back to your routine once you've rewarded yourself. The myth of doing the hard thing. So far, you have probably heard that doing the hard things first help you get other things done sooner. Really? Let me ask that again, really? The rule of doing the hard things first don't work for me. If it works for you, then, please ignore this point. But if you really give it a thought, you will understand the underlying concept. When you do what's possible, you become motivated to do the hard things too. Besides, when you try to the hard tasks and if it looks harder than it seemed, you might even delay the work. Thus, it is usually better to do things that are manageable first. These are the small habits and changes that you must incorporate to become a productive individual. But there are many more anti-procrastination tips that I want to share with you. Getting started technique. If you want to do something, you must get started. People usually procrastinate the beginning of a project, so it is important to understand the techniques to get started. How can you do it? Starting a project or a task will not be easy. In fact, it can be the reason for delayed submission. Whenever you plan to do a task, you need something to boost your mood. At first, getting started can be difficult, but when you move on with the task, it might seem possible. Thus, compare the way you feel when you start the work and the way you feel when you delay the work. Even if you have done a little from the whole project, it's a good start. Starting the project is important, so it doesn't matter even if you do a very little portion of the whole project. There is a trick to make your mind like the work, and that is to start thinking about the work. When you keep your mind occupied with the task, you might somehow end up starting it. The reason is it is tiring to think, so you eventually start work. For example, say you should edit an article. If you don't begin editing, you will never do it. Thus, just take the draft and change a few words. Eventually, you'll end up changing the major sections where you wanted to change. You will do it even without forcing yourself to do it, which is amazing. Or you can set a timer. What can you do with a timer if you really can't start the work? Simple. Set the timer to 10 minutes or less and then, once the timer starts working, you just remain seated. Even if you don't do the work, just sit there. Eventually, you'll start work, and you will not even feel that you have started. This is an easy trick because when you are within your workspace, you can't help but work. Thus, these tricks and tips might help you get better at what you are doing. The simplest mantra is, get started. Useful tools and apps. Now that you've learned almost all the possible tips and tricks, it is time to get a grip on the tools and apps available. Beating procrastination will not be easy until you get help from the technology that you blamed for your reluctance. You have so many great tools and apps to select from, yet we'll discuss a few beneficial tools that you can rely on. Here we go. Procrastinate. This is one of the procrastination-busting apps, but compatible only for iPad and iPhone. The app will support you throughout the procedures by providing the right answers and advice as for the option that you provide. For example, if you select the option, I don't know how to start, the app will suggest breaking the tasks into chunks. It provides not only ideas but also guidance to do the work. You'll find a rhythm to your work, and you can even check the statistics related to your productivity. The statistics will become a motivation to reach the goals. Stand. Anecdotally, it is considered that changes in the working environment can cause positive changes to your productivity. Thus, the introduction of the portable standing working table has become a great piece of equipment to fight against procrastination. Sometimes, you might get bored by sitting for long hours. In such case, you can consider the stand table. The stand table helps to increase productivity by allowing you to alternate between sitting and standing at your workstation. Once you change your posture, you'd be able to focus and get a lot of things done. This is available for purchase on Amazon. Focuswriter. If you want to type something on the laptop or computer screen, you must make sure that you don't get distracted. It is easy to get distracted when you have the option to open as many tabs as you want. While working on screen, if you have too many tabs open, it will definitely kill your productivity. So, for that, Focuswriter is a great tool. This is a program that works exactly like a Word document. It also has built-in timers, better ambience, daily goals, and many other options. This program supports Windows, Mac, and Linux system. By using this tool, you will be able to do your work on time with better productivity. Moreover, the time that you usually kill can be saved. Freedom. This app provides peace of mind by helping you focus on the important things and avoiding distractions. Once the app does it for you, you will be able to focus on the work you do. People often procrastinate when they slowly shift from an important task to another entertaining activity. For example, say that you are working on a project, but meanwhile, you are scrolling through Facebook feeds, so do you really think that you can give your best to work? I don't think so. When your attention is divided among other unimportant tasks, you will not be able to give the best to your most important project. So, the Freedom app will help you by blocking sites such as Twitter, Facebook, and so on. The Freedom app will block almost all the time-consuming sites. So, there's no reason why you must not consider it. Todoist. This is one of the popular apps that you might have often come across. People usually procrastinate because of not having a proper plan, or not knowing the task to do next. If you have a structured plan, you will be able to understand the task that you must do next. So with the help of the Todoist app, you can get the structure of the plan. You can use this app to track and sync the tasks to your mobile and other devices. The app is available for Android, Windows Phone, iOS, and the web. Once you download the app to your device, you will be able to get the to-do list. Write or Die. This is an excellent app for the ones who can't overcome procrastination even after changing their behavior. If you are still struggling to focus even after changing your behaviors, you must take extreme measurements. The app Write or Die will avoid procrastination by sending annoying pictures and sounds. This is called kamikaze mode, derived from the term created from Japanese suicide pilots during World War II. When you delay work, the vowels on your documents will automatically be deleted. Perhaps, you wouldn't prefer deleting the words you hardly type. Thus this can be one of the best anti-procrastination equipment. Spotify. This app will help you stay entertained while you are working. Whenever you find it boring to get your work done, you can play some great music on Spotify. This might help you avoid procrastination. Besides, if you play some motivational songs, you'll be driven to do the work. Tomato Timer. I mentioned about Pomodoro Technique, and this app relates to it. You usually procrastinate when you don't feel like doing a big task. But you still have to get this task done, and for that, you have to divide the big task into smaller tasks. The Tomato Timer app is the idea to help you to get things done by dividing them into chunks. You just have to set a timer, and then, you will be able to get the work done. Even though there are many more tools and apps that you can consider, these are treated as the most important and beneficial ones. Select the most suitable tool or app as per your preferences and make use of it. Chapter 6, Practicing Positive Mindfulness. One way to reframe your negative thoughts is to practice mindfulness. You might be wondering, what exactly is mindfulness? You have probably heard about it before and want to explore the topic more. It is actually a pretty simple concept that suggests that the mind is fully aware of what is happening, what you are doing, and the place that you are moving in. This may seem like a no-brainer, but the thing is we often go in different directions. Our brains have no way to focus on what's important, so we lose ourselves in obsessing over what has happened in the past or think too much about what will happen in the future. Then we become anxious about a situation. Mindfulness is being completely present in a situation and conscious of our surroundings. When we are mindful, we are aware of what we are doing, and we do not react too much to the circumstances in which we find ourselves. We stay in control of ourselves whatever is occurring around us. Mindfulness is a practice learned through different techniques, for example, applying mindfulness in the way we sit, walk, and stand. We can also combine mindfulness with different meditation activities. Mindfulness reduces stress and gives us time to stop judging our surroundings. It releases our natural curiosity about the world around us, and we approach everything with gentleness and warmth. Cullen et al., 2014. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is not some exotic practice like Buddhist meditation. It is something that we have already implemented in our lives. It is a state of being. It is something that can be taught and cultivated. Cullen et al., 2014. To use it, you don't have to change your personality. Mindfulness helps us to appreciate who we are and be the best version of ourselves in the world. We don't have to change our personality and do something radically different. Anyone can practice mindfulness. Because mindfulness focuses on universal human values and characteristics, we don't have to modify our belief systems. Everyone can enjoy its benefits, and it can be easily learned. It is a lifestyle. Mindfulness involves more than just doing it. It involves every aspect of our lives, and it is a way that we can live our lives to make everything a bit better than before. Cullen et al., 2014. It is proven to work by science. Science has proven that this method works well and gives positive health benefits for everything. It contributes to our personal life and meaningful relationships with others. Mindfulness can transform society. Because mindfulness can spark a certain level of creativity, it helps people to be innovative and create new solutions to the world's problems. Cullen et al., 2014. It is essential that a person becomes aware of their feelings. This is a skill that can be acquired through therapy sessions, such as dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which provide training and support to patients who are dealing with mental illness. However, the same could be applied to other people who are dealing with different issues, including worry and anxiety. Here are some strategies that are used in the process of guided meditation and mindfulness. Observation. Observation is the first ability to cultivate when doing mindfulness. In this part, the person should become aware of their own thoughts, situations, behaviors, and emotions without wanting to change them. Instead of trying to change these things, the person merely collects data from what they are experiencing. This skill includes note-taking to write down all that is happening around a person. Arnold, 2008. Description. Having observed their surroundings, a person can describe the situation, feeling, or behavior. With more description of these things, a person can develop a more empathetic attitude and exercise their self-control. During this phase of mindfulness, the person will look at the situation objectively while collecting data and separate the facts from what they perceive to be true. Arnold, 2008. Participation. The third skill to be acquired is participation in the current moment. Once the person has become aware of their surroundings, they can be present in the moment and live in that every day in a positive way. Arnold, 2008. It is vital that a person develops the skill of mindfulness to promote a better life with less worry and hassle. Using formal mindfulness, a person can become more aware of situations. For example, when a person holds their breath, they can observe different breathing patterns and what is going on in the body. How fast or slow is the person breathing? Also, you could go on a walk in the countryside to become more aware of your senses. You might heed the sights and sounds of all the things that surround you, including the sound of the grass that is blowing, the leaves on the trees rustling, or the sound of cows mooing. You might also notice the dripping of rain or the chirping of birds in the trees. You can practice mindfulness anywhere. You do not have to be with a therapist or psychologist to practice it. You might be sitting in a meeting room, trying to focus on what your boss is saying to everyone when, all of a sudden, you start to worry that you left your heat on at your home. That got your attention, and now you are very concerned. But when you practice mindfulness, you can get back to what you were focusing on and get out of that cycle of worry. Mindfulness enables you to get rid of the distractions that are bothering you and then brings your attention back to the task that you are completing. You begin to notice the disturbances in your experience and within you, and then you go back to what you were doing. You should recognize what is distracting you and think of ways you can get yourself back in the game again with whatever you are trying to focus your energy on. Tips to help you practice mindfulness. 1. Think about only one task at a time. To do mindfulness properly, you will need to think about each task separately. Don't try to do too much at one time. You should think about each thing that you have to do to reduce the risk of making mistakes during an activity. 2. Make your observations by talking out loud. One way of looking outside of yourself is by externalizing your experiences. This includes talking to yourself. When you notice something, say it out loud. Voicing your thoughts gets you outside of your internal self. 3. Make detailed notes of your distractions. Next, you should notice when you begin to drift or nod off during situations. Take note of these things and write them down so that you can be more proactive about them in the future. Be aware of your situation, but try not to be reactive. 4. Be kind to yourself. When you do mindfulness in the comfort of your own home or elsewhere, you have to take care of yourself, but it may take time to get used to it and to develop it. But once you are kind to yourself and give yourself the chance to become accustomed to it, then you will enter into a more tranquil state of being. Techniques to use to practice mindfulness. There are many techniques that you can try to apply the principles of mindfulness to your life. The following methods will help you to de-stress and worry less and will enable you to feel a lot better about your life. Meditation. This seems like a no-brainer, but it is going to help you relax and enjoy your surroundings as you become more attuned to what you are doing in the present moment. Take a moment to get an exercise mat, sit on the floor, and close your eyes. Get a candle and light it and play some quiet meditative music that will help you to engage your heart and mind to something that will quiet your soul. Allow yourself to unplug from the worries and cares of this life. Then you can think of things that will get you out of the stressful situations of your everyday routine. Audio recordings and guided meditation. In this meditation, a recording is used to guide you through the meditation. The recording tells you what you should think about during the meditation, and usually, there is some soft music playing in the background. You can do this technique while you are in a dark room where there is not a lot of noise. In addition, you can use some noise-canceling headphones to remove the background noise from your ears. Raisin Exercise. When you do this exercise, you can use any kind of food, but let us use the example of a raisin. You take a raisin and describe how it looks, feels, smells, and tastes. As you look at it, focus on what is in the present moment. Full body scan. In this exercise, you concentrate on each part of your body. It is almost as if you are doing a full body scan. You lie on your back or sit still. At the beginning of the exercise, you focus on your breathing, including how you inhale and exhale. Then the therapist or someone else will show you how to think about each part of the body and how it feels. The full body scan will go from the head to the neck to the chest and all the way down to the knees and eventually all the way down to the feet. Mindfulness and Observation. For this exercise, you can look outside your window and look at everything that you see there. Instead of naming the objects you can see, like a leaf, tree, bird, or dog, you should take note of the colors, images, and other shapes and figures out there. You should pay attention to the sounds, such as rain falling, grass blowing in the breeze, and others. Try to stay concentrated on the task and don't get distracted by your cell phone or other media. If you need to take a break, get away for a few minutes. Take a brief walk or go to the bathroom if you need to. Then come back to it. Mindfulness and Listening. Mindful listening can help you think about the things that you are worried about and try to think about the future. You can do this with other people. Often, this can take place as group therapy in which each person shares about their experiences. You reflect on how you are sharing with others and then talk together about the various issues you are facing. Self-compassion break. Showing yourself some compassion is one of the best ways to feel better about the stresses of life. When you find yourself burdened about the various situations that you are in, then you can close your eyes, breathe in and out, and then embrace yourself or give yourself a big hug. Then you can say some encouraging words to yourself, such as, "I know your life is hard. You're going through a tough time these days, but you are doing a good job of holding yourself together. I love you. You're awesome." It is important to practice giving yourself a pep talk, which will help you get through any curveball that is thrown at you. Hold and stretch exercise. Another thing you can try is to hold and stretch your muscles and tense them, which causes you to feel uptight. You can then put pressure on different muscle groups and think about each part of your body. Then you can get rid of the stress and tension even after a few seconds of doing it. Mindful eating habits. When you are practicing mindfulness, it is important to consider what is going into your mouth. This method involves thinking about what you are eating. Before putting the food in your mouth, put it in your hands and feel it. Notice how it feels, looks, smells, and tastes. Eat slowly and notice every aspect of the tasting experience. It will be amazing how you feel afterward because you have looked at every part of your food experience and are mindful of what you are eating. Reflect on your own thoughts. This is an exercise in breathing that helps you to be in tune with what you are thinking. Consider the ideas that are coming out of your own head and then make judgments about each one of them. If your mind becomes distracted, try to guide yourself gently and kindly back to your meditation. Anger management. Mindfulness can help you when you are prone to going off the edge and you feel like you are about to snap from some situation. With this technique, you can calm your emotions and feel better. Cullen et al., 2016. First, you should sit up in your chair. Make sure your feet are touching the floor below. You should do some deep breathing. Think about a recent experience of anger when you are able or unable to cope with the situation. Remember the strong feeling that came over you at that time and your body's response to the anger. Notice how your body is tense or stressed and look at what is happening physiologically in your body. Then say some kind words to yourself. Say, "It is okay to be angry. Don't worry too much. It is going to be okay. It will pass." Then rid yourself of anger by saying, "Goodbye, anger." As soon as you focus on your breathing again, then you can calm down and let it go. It should also be used to help you avoid exploding. You should start using mindfulness in the milder episodes of anger and then gradually go up to the more explosive episodes. Stare at a circle and think. This final exercise allows you to slow down your thinking and focus on just one thing. You can look at a circle. Reflect on your thoughts and how you are thinking about something and then assess if it is valid or plausible or not. Case study. Henry, 17, was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, and he also had an acute anxiety disorder. Many times, he would become upset and get angry because he was not as fast as other students and would become distracted. Sometimes, he would get mad or even have nervous breakdowns at school. Sometimes, he would explode in the middle of the classroom. Often, his teacher would send him out of the classroom until he could pull himself back together. Later, Henry's parents took him to a psychologist to find out what was going on. The doctor recommended that Henry practice mindfulness to help his condition. With his therapist, Henry practiced mindfulness. In one exercise, he would do a hold and stretch. He would flex his muscles, close his eyes, and count to 20. He focused on how he was breathing. That way, he could take a timeout whenever he felt like he might go over the edge. He was able to manage his temper tantrums and nervous breakdowns successfully by going to therapy sessions with his therapist. In addition, Henry went to group therapy meetings where he could meet other young adults struggling with the same condition. This step helped him a lot to get on the right track. After 6 months of being in the program, Henry got things under control, and he felt like he could go about his life free from worry and anxiety. Chapter 7, Self-Confidence. Now that you have accepted the fact that self-confidence can be developed, let's look at practical ways you can go about the business of building your self-confidence. I will give you a step-by-step approach that will give you the results you want if you follow it diligently. Are you ready? Let's go. Step 1. Determination. How many times have you made a decision to do something only to go back on your words and your old ways after just a few attempts? It is the same with building self-confidence. Anybody can make a decision to do something, but only a determined person can actually keep to their words. This is usually because, as the saying goes, nothing good comes easy. Anything worthwhile you want to do in life will cost you something. Becoming a confident person will cost you some time, effort, strength and courage, and if you are not very determined, you will go back to your former ways even before you have started. It is a determination that will make you intentionally blind to all the reasons why you should abandon your journey of self-confidence. Step 2. Learning from confident people. There is hardly anything you will want to do in life that someone else has not done already, but maybe in a different way. Even when it comes to learning how to develop self-confidence, you have to watch people too. This is not very difficult, though, and I will show you how to do it. I believe you have role models and people you admire and wish to be like. Good. You can start observing their lifestyles within a closer range now. Study their biography, read their stories, follow them on social media, listen to them. Their lifestyle will gradually start rubbing off on you, in the sense that you will begin to learn to face life with the same level of confidence they exude. This does not mean that you should copy other people's way of life. A self-confident person does not imitate other people. The difference here is that you are trying to get started and you need some kind of direction. While you observe the lifestyles of the people you admire and become used to how confident they are, your subconscious mind will get the message and start exhibiting confidence as well. So, do not imitate, just watch. Learn, and grow your own style. Step 3. Attacking your fears. Anybody who lacks self-confidence misses many opportunities in life because they do not believe that they have what it takes to go out there and do stuff. The only way to face your fears is to do it head-on, and until you start confronting those fears, you will remain at the same level that you have always been. To grow, you have to act, and you have to act now. What are the things that make your heart skip any time you remember them? What are the things you should do, but have not done because you think you are not good enough? You have to get up right now and start doing them. You may have heard that courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to do what you are supposed to do even in fear. You do not have to wait till you have zero fears because that time will never come. Nobody has zero fears at any point in their lives. Even your role models and great public speakers have their fears, but you hear their names today because they do not allow their fears to determine their actions. For you to become a confident person, you need to get up and act on your fears. They will always be there, anyway, so do not let them stop you. Step 4. Constant practice. Anything you repeat over and over again becomes a habit with time, and you can start doing it without having to think about it. The same goes for developing self-confidence. When you have acted on your fears, you should repeat your actions over and over again until they become a habit. Generally, if you repeat the same thing for at least 21 days, it will become a habit. Make a list of the major areas of your life that you are lagging behind in because of the lack of self-confidence. Pick the items on the list one after the other and practice each of them for at least 21 days. Believe me, you'd be amazed at the result you will get. Repetition makes for emphasis, and when you emphasize your abilities over your fears, you will push the fears down and be in charge of your life. Conquering a particular fear once is never enough. You need to conquer it again and again and on different occasions until you believe beyond doubt that you are capable. If, for instance, you are scared of speaking in public, there are things you can do to bring yourself out of that fear and build the kind of confidence you need to make things work for you. You could start by standing in front of the mirror in your room and speaking to yourself alone. When you know that no one else is watching and you are not scared of being judged, you can freely try your best. When you speak, turn on the voice recorder on your phone and record your voice, so that when you hear the sound of your own voice, the fact that you were actually able to speak successfully will be a push for you to continue. After perfecting the act of speaking in front of your mirror, you can use your video recorder to record the performance, which you can then post on your social media channels. You should feel free and remember that you are not participating in a competition or anything. It's all for the fun of it. When you get feedback from your online friends, you will know your areas of strengths and weaknesses and improve accordingly. If you keep doing this, you will no longer find public speaking as terrifying as it used to be for you. And after you have made your first actual speaking engagement fearlessly in the presence of an audience, do not relax and think that you have won the battle. You should search for other speaking engagements so that you will have more opportunities to keep the fire burning. Step 5. Persistence. As I am showing you things you could do to build your self-confidence, they may sound very interesting to you and you might want to jump right in and start trying them out. That is fine, but there is something else you should know, too. It is never easy to change from one lifestyle to another. After becoming determined to be a confident person, learning from other confident people, attacking your fears, and repeating the process through constant practice, you should be persistent in all these and know that even when you feel like throwing in the towel and giving up, you can still continue in your practice. It is not easy, and there are times when you will feel really low. But you should be persistent enough to continue and make it work. Every successful person you know had to pass through a period of persistence in little actions, which yielded the big success you are seeing now. Step 6. Positive affirmations. In order not to give up on your journey of self-confidence halfway, you need to have constant reminders in the form of positive affirmations. Keep telling yourself that you can do it. The words we speak to ourselves are powerful and they get registered in our subconscious mind with time. Write down some things you want to see manifest in your life and speak them to yourself every day while taking the necessary actions to bring them to reality. You can write these positive words and place them at strategic points in your room or in your office where you will see them every day, to remind yourself what your goal is. Confident Affirmation. I believe in myself and in my ability to do whatever I put my mind to. I will keep working on myself until I have no fear left in me. I am the master of my own life. I have confidence in myself. Chapter 8, How to Manage Stress, Anxiety, and Depression. It is fascinating to learn that our thoughts define what happens to us. From a psychological perspective, it means that we can control what happens to us by simply learning how to control our thoughts. This is a powerful technique indeed. Knowing that you have power over what happens to you is something that most people are unaware of. The reality is that you become what you think. If you look closely, whatever happens to you, good or bad, stems from your thoughts. What you think about affects your mental health and well-being. Your thoughts lead to the emotional state that you might be experiencing. Often, this will affect your health. If your thoughts are preoccupied with sad events, then chances are that you will constantly feel sad. If you are constantly thinking about the fun activities that you engage in with your friends, then you attract the same energy to your life. From this, you will garner a deeper insight into why your thoughts could be identified as the cause for your dwindling productivity at work, lack of sleep, and your failing social relationships. The law of attraction. If you are concerned about the direction that your life is taking, then the law of attraction may be a useful tool to get you back on track. On the surface, you might conclude that this is a law that helps you to attract things around you. Well, just as the name suggests, this is a powerful law which suggests that you attract what you focus on. Believe it or not, this law is always working to shape your life. What people don't understand is that they are constantly shaping their lives consciously or subconsciously. The life that you have today is attributed to what you thought about years ago. Sure, you might not get exactly what you wanted, but you will be better off than thinking negatively. Your future is shaped by the way you think and the way you respond to situations today. Therefore, if you think that the coming months will be difficult for you, rest assured that they are more likely to be difficult. On the other hand, if you have the perception that you are going to have fun, then you are more likely to enjoy life as it unfolds itself to your expectations. The law of attraction is based on a simple concept. You attract what you choose to focus on. Whether you choose to think negatively or positively, it's all up to you. If you choose to focus on the positive side of life, then you will attract good things your way. You will always be full of joy and abundance. You will live your life feeling energetic and ready to handle anything that comes your way. On the contrary, if you choose to focus on the negative, your life will be full of misery. You will never be happy with the people around you. Often, you will feel as though you are tired of living. Your productivity at work and at home will be negatively affected. You will always be that person that finds the negative in everything. All of this is a result of what you choose to focus on. Knowing how the law of attraction works can unlock the doors of success in your life. This law opens your mind to the realization that we live in a world of infinite possibilities, infinite joy, and infinite abundance. Think about it, you can put your faith in your beliefs and help change future outcomes. Isn't that amazing? Unfortunately, few people understand the law of attraction and how to effectively use it to transform their lives. Your thoughts and feelings will work together to build an ideal future for yourself. Since you have the power to decide what you want, you ought to request a life that you've always dreamt of living. Your focus and energy should be in line with what you want to attract. How to use the law of attraction. After understanding the fact that you are the creator of your own world, you should begin thinking consciously towards creating a better life for yourself. In this case, this should encourage you to think positively since your thoughts define what you want in life. This requires that you channel your time and energy on thinking about the good things you want in life. It also means that you should deliberately manage your thoughts and emotions as they have an impact on what manifests. Ask, believe, receive. The law of attraction appears to be a straightforward process where you just ask for what you want and you will receive it. However, the application process requires more than just asking and receiving. If it were this simple, then everybody would be living happy lives free of stress and anxiety. So, what is it that makes the law of attraction simple yet daunting to apply? Ask. People make requests to the universe every day, either consciously or unconsciously through their thoughts. Whatever you think about is what you focus on. This is where you have channeled your energy. Using the law of attraction, you should realize that it is crucial that you take deliberate actions to manage your thoughts and emotions. In this regard, you have to intentionally decide that you want something. This also demands that you should live and act as though you already have that which you are asking for. Believe. For you to manifest what you want in your life, it is imperative that you truly believe that you will receive what you want. Your thoughts should reflect the certainty that you have in knowing that you will get what you want. Therefore, your mind should be free of doubts. This is the trickiest part of the law of attraction. Most people simply ask. However, they find it difficult to believe that they can get what they want. The aspect of belief diminishes. When individuals realize that what they asked for is taking longer to manifest than they expect, so, they turn their attention to negative thinking. They begin to convince themselves that it is impossible. Life is not easy. Such perceptions only affect what you are asking for from the universe. The worst thing is that negativity bias begins to take shape. Without realizing, they attract negativity in their lives because they simply fail to believe. Receive. The last thing that you need to do is to receive what you were asking or hoping for. Perhaps this is the easiest part since it only requires you to position yourself in the best way through your emotions to receive your gift. Consider an ordinary situation where you are receiving a gift from your loved ones. Certainly, you express from your body language that you are happy. Emotions of love and appreciation should be evident when receiving any gift. This is how the universe expects you to receive your reward. You should live your day feeling thankful and happy for what you already have. This is the best way in which you can practice receiving what you want even before the world gives it to you. These emotions can also be shaped by how you choose to think. Accordingly, it is recommended that you should live mindfully by enhancing your self-awareness so as to stop yourself each time negative thoughts develop in your mind. At first, it won't be an easy feat to control your thoughts and emotions. Nevertheless, it is worth noting that everything good calls for patience and practice. As such, for the law of attraction to work for you, you have to be patient. You have to keep practicing the habit of believing. Most importantly, always remember that you can create your happiness. Anxiety, stopping negative thoughts. Anxiety is caused by numerous factors. At times, it is caused by a combination of genetic factors and environmental factors. Fear within you can easily make you feel worried about things that haven't happened. In extreme cases, this leads to panic. Your mind can easily amplify the fears within you and make you believe that something bad will happen. In social settings, Anxiety will leave you in a constant state of worry of saying the wrong thing in front of other people. Also, you might gain the assumption that other people will not like you. Such negative thoughts only prevent you from being yourself. It holds you back from living your life. Common thoughts in anxious people. There are certain stressful thoughts evident in anxious people. Below are a few examples of some of these thoughts. Identifying these thoughts is helpful as it ensures that you find a way to deal with your anxiety. Examples of common thoughts in anxious people are as follows. I am not good at what I do. Anxious individuals will focus more on the negative aspects of themselves. In any setting, their minds will constantly think about their weaknesses. It will be difficult for them to reflect on their strengths and why they were chosen for a particular role in their place of work. Anxiety will make you feel as though your boss will fire you anytime. For example, I am going to forget. Have you ever felt that you were going to forget something even before the actual thing occurred? This is a sign that you are anxious. Believing that you are going to forget something simply means that you can't trust yourself. You're raising doubts in your mind that you can't remember to do something. Either during the day, tomorrow, or in the near future. Nobody likes me. In the social media world, it is very easy for an anxious person to conclude that people don't value them because they are not getting any responses to their posts. This trait portrays someone who thinks too much. This is a person who is always worried about what other people might say. As a result, they will be too concerned about their social media posts and the responses they will be getting. What if I am next? Without a doubt, we live in a world of uncertainty. You can never be sure about tomorrow. This can have an impact on your attitude towards the unknown. There are times when you might be scared that the worst could happen to you at any time. In relation to this, you should understand that it is common to experience such thoughts. However, this doesn't mean that you should allow such thoughts to overwhelm you. Since you have some level of control of your thoughts, you should learn how to manage them. Living in constant worry that you might stumble any minute is no way to live. My partner hasn't called, they must be mad at me. Anxiety can also affect your relationships in many ways. Consider an ordinary example where your partner fails to call you during the day. There are many reasons why this could have happened. Maybe they were busy or their phone was out of battery. However, your worrying nature will give you the assumption that your partner is upset at you for some reason. Having this perception will only ruin the beautiful relationship you share with your partner. Did I leave the door open? Most people will worry too much about the simple things that they might have forgotten to do. For instance, you might question yourself about your door, appliances, or your light switches. You will find your mind wandering thinking about whether or not the appliances were switched off. Doing this repeatedly will only lead to anxiety. Judging from these ordinary examples of anxious thoughts, it is clear that overthinking can lead to anxiety. The simple truth is that you can stop yourself from thinking too much. Your partner failing to check on you, for example, there are many reasons as to why this could happen. Maybe they are busy at work and that their smartphones are on silent mode. It could also be that they are in a meeting. Therefore, there is no need for you to think too much about it. Embrace the idea of taking things as they are without complicating them. Anxiety triggers. There are numerous reasons why you will be anxious. There are certain events, experiences or emotions which could worsen anxiety symptoms. These elements are termed as anxiety triggers. The following is a brief look into some of the common triggers of anxiety. Health concerns. Health concerns can be a major trigger of anxiety. Usually, this happens after an upsetting medical diagnosis such as chronic illness or cancer. It is common for people to be concerned about the direction that their life would take when suffering from chronic disease. The good news is that you can deal with this anxiety by changing how you think and perceive your life. Living an active life, for example, will prevent you from paying attention to the disease. Instead, you will appreciate what life has to offer and enjoy it. Medications. There are certain medications that can also make you feel anxious. This is due to the fact that these medications have active ingredients which affect how one feels. Common medications that could cause anxiety include weight loss medications, birth control pills, and congestion medications. Caffeine. Caffeine can worsen or trigger the symptoms of anxiety. With social anxiety disorder in particular, it is advisable to lower your caffeine intake. Skipping meals. There are instances where you may feel jittery because of skipped meals. This happens because of the drop in your blood sugar. Eating a balanced diet is recommended for numerous reasons. It is worthwhile that you strive to eat a healthy diet regularly to ensure that your body gets all the nutrients it requires. Filling yourself up with healthy snacks helps to maintain your blood sugar levels. Therefore, it reduces the likelihood of you feeling nervous or agitated. Negative thinking. Thinking negatively will likely corrupt your mind with feelings of frustration. This means that you are likely to feel anxious since you worry too much about the worst that can happen. Financial concerns. With the harsh economic times, it is daunting to prevent yourself from thinking too much about your finances. This becomes a major problem when you have debts to pay and everything appears out of hand. To deal with triggers relating to finances, you should consider seeking professional assistance. Stress. For instance, when missing important deadlines, you will worry about the potential loss of something important. You could end up developing a fear of losing your job. Indeed, this will stress you out a lot. In some cases, stress can have a negative impact on the quality of your sleep. This worsens your situation as anxiety tends to worsen when you don't have enough sleep. Destructive thinking, a common cause of stress. Negative thinking will often lead to stress. When you constantly dwell on negative self-talk, this is what your subconscious mind will focus on. Instead of ruminating on how bad things seem to follow you, it is vital to realize that such thoughts can have a negative impact on your emotional well-being. To comprehend how our thoughts lead to stress, let's consider how stress works. How stress works. Psychologist Albert Ellis proposed the ABC model of understanding how stress works. According to this model, external events, A, do not trigger emotions, C. However, beliefs, B, can cause emotions. This is to mean that people's emotions are not directly influenced by their external environments. but they are affected by how they process what happens around them. Arguably, stressors will always be there. For instance, getting stuck in traffic is a common thing. It only leads to stress when you handle it in a negative way. In this regard, having a pessimistic view about traffic will cause anxiety and stress. Recognizing that you have the power to control how you think should help you recognize that you can easily evade stress. So, why should you fuss about a traffic jam when you are certain that there is nothing you can do about it? To effectively deal with such a situation, you should keep your mind engaged with something else. Listen to your favorite music as you wait for traffic to open up. Alternatively, you can listen to positive affirmations to warrant that your mind doesn't slip into negative thinking. Stress and negative self-talk. Self-talk is the inner voice that talks to you. Depending on how you use self-talk, it becomes a make or break situation. Positive self-talk will remind you of the great things that you can achieve. It will help you approach life with optimism. Negative self-talk, on the other hand, will attract negative energy. You will pay too much attention to the possibility of all the bad things that could happen to you. Negative self-talk will not help you overcome the stress that you might be going through. In fact, it worsens the situation as you will feel more stressed. Clearly, overthinking can affect your life in many ways. Whether you are feeling anxious, stressed, or unmotivated, all these can be attributed to how you think. Thinking positively can attract good things to you. The law of attraction will always apply to your thoughts and emotions. It is through these thoughts that you create the world that you want. Negative thinking breeds negativity in your life. It will affect your relationships, work life, and your productivity in varying aspects. Instead of worrying about the future, you should use your energy to focus more on what you can do today for a better tomorrow. Frankly, your actions determine your future. Hence, thinking alone is just not enough. You need to act. Chapter 9: How to Create Habits to Stop Worrying. No doubt, you've heard of the saying, looking at a glass half full. That's the whole point of this. Both positive and negative people live in the same world, they only look at things very differently. They look at things quite oppositely, in fact. Your goal, therefore, is to learn how to look at things in a more positive light. While this isn't easy, given what you're used to thinking, it can be done with a bit of practice. Trying something new. Negative people tend to fear the unknown, but those who have a more positive outlook see them as opportunities. May it be for business, travel, or even new taste, it's important to avoid focusing on the fact that you haven't experienced something yet and look forward to the idea that you're about to try it for the first time. Don't say, "I've never tried this before, so I don't know how to do this." Say, "This looks interesting. I want to try it." A good way to get into this mindset is to read about the good things about the experience. Chances are, people have already tried what you're about to try for the first time. If they have good reviews, then you're good to go. Looking at complications. Complicated stuff can be very daunting, but if you're interested enough in it, you'll find a way to solve any problem. As the old saying goes, if you can see the problem, then there isn't any. All you have to do is to look at the problem from a different angle until it all makes sense. You'd be surprised at how perspective can make a difference between positive and negative thinking. Don't say, "This is hard to understand." Say, "Maybe I'm missing something here." Moping around and dwelling on the complexity of the problem will only make you go around in circles. The solution to complexity is knowledge. Try learning more about the problem and see if you can pick something up. It also matters that you learn to love what you're doing. By doing so, every problem you face, no matter how difficult, will feel like a fun game to play, but with higher difficulty. Slow or gradual progress. Hardworking people don't always get overnight results. But that doesn't mean that progress isn't there. And even if it's not there, it doesn't mean that you can't attain that progress anymore. This is why it's so important to take your focus away from the short-term results and invest in what you can do to finally achieve the long-term ones. Don't say, "Nothing's happening. I'm not getting better at this." Say, "Maybe I need to give it a few more tries, or maybe I can tweak my methods a bit and then try again." This is very common for people who like to work out but don't see results immediately. It's likely that they just need to keep going with their regimen or need to have their routines adjusted to progress. Unfamiliarity. This happens when you move to a new neighborhood, attend a big party, or simply get a new job. You'll be surrounded by new things that you have to get used to. Your shyness could be a result of negativity, and it's very important that you deal with it immediately, or else you could be seen by others as a loner who prefers to be left alone. There's really nothing wrong with being alone, but if you don't feel good about it, then you need to get accustomed to the new environment. Don't say, "I can't seem to fit in because I don't know many people." Say, "Time to make new friends. Maybe I can learn something new from them." If you're doing this in the workplace, then you're going to be working with these people for a long time. Try to make a good impression with them while you still can, instead of when you're off guard, because you're already too busy with work. Failure. Guess what? This happens all the time. And if you're not yet the person who can find something positive in the face of failure, then you're going to be depressed a lot. Dealing with failure can be tough, but the sooner you get over it, the better. There's always something good to learn from our mistakes, and one day you'll find the chance to apply what you've learned and be more successful the next time around. Don't say, "I've failed." Say, "I wonder what I did wrong." Don't let the consequences of failure overwhelm you. There is always something to learn from every mistake you make. Challenges. The most satisfying accomplishments in the world are never easy. It is the more difficult competitions that have the greatest prizes. More complex jobs usually pay more. If you don't take up the challenge for fear of the possibility of failure, you're not going to do much with your life. Don't say, "I don't think this is going to work." Say, "This will work. We just haven't figured it out yet." Those who are persevering, patient, and hardworking, among other traits, tend to be very positive thinking people. They know that success is not achieved overnight and find comfort in that feeling. The good thing about the tips in this is that they don't require much to apply. You simply have to think about them and apply them to your own situations. If you want, you can look at yourself in the mirror and talk to yourself, but that's not necessary. When the situation arises, make sure you think the right things, because that will make the difference between being positive and negative. Chapter 10, Simple Daily Practices to Overcome Procrastination. When talking about procrastination, everyone might relate to it because there's none who could deny it. At least, once or twice in your life, procrastination would have played its role. Whenever you miss your deadlines, the level of anxiety rises above your head and you are forced to complete the project as soon as possible. But deep down, you know it is impossible to complete because there is so much to do. Yet, you try. Procrastination will make your life miserable, so try not to make it a habit. Some people want to stop procrastinating, but they are unable to because they don't know how to do it. Or sometimes, they might be missing the motivation they need. And it can be frustrating, I know. You must understand the fact that procrastinating factors differ from individual to another. A writer will procrastinate on the project she was assigned. And then, she must work day and night to complete the project. A student will delay school work and then complete at the last moment. An athlete will delay medications because he is so concerned about the current game. If you evaluate each example above, you will understand that through procrastination every individual mentioned in the example will be affected. For instance, the athlete will have to deal with a lot of severe issues if he doesn't treat the injury right away. Likewise, there will be a lot of emotional drawbacks as well. I'll share some of the practical daily practices that you can follow to overcome procrastination. These practices will help you beat procrastination even if you are feeling lazy or unmotivated. Before you begin reading the practices below, you must bear in mind that you can select any of the following practices. This means you are not forced to practice all the habits below. Let's get started. 1. Find solutions to potential emergencies. Procrastination is not a simple bad habit, rather it is dangerous. It will have a huge impact on your health. Sometimes, you might even lose the great bonds that you shared with your family members. They might even come to a point where they assume that you no longer care. There will be situations in life where you have to deal with unexpected priorities such as death, sickness, and much more. Such situations can't wait because you will have to address them immediately. In such an instance, you would have to drop all the scheduled tasks. Some other times, great family events might turn into dreadful situations, and you can't avoid them and get back to your work. Emergencies don't come with a warning, so you have to put up with the obstacles it creates. How can you avoid emergencies? Are you going to stop everything and address the issue? Or if you have already delayed the work and then something urgent comes up, how are you planning to handle it? What might happen when you ignore the emergencies? To handle emergencies, you have to have a clear picture of the type of emergencies that you are dealing with. You can think about the after effects of avoiding the emergency. Or think about the people who are related to the emergency. How will they feel if you ignore it? What are the actions that you can take to solve this emergency issue so that you can get back to work? Or can you put off the emergency issue because it is not life-threatening? Before you dig in further, let me tell you. If you are working so hard that you don't even have time for your family, it means you are losing a lot of good things in life. You are not actually living your life. This where the concept of smart working comes into the picture. You can easily get busy and forget about the people around you. Or you can easily put off emergencies that you believed as not important, and those emergencies might actually turn out severe. Of course, you might be so busy that you don't even have time for important things, but it is all about your priorities. No project, appointment, or meeting is worth ignoring for the emergencies that might affect the life of a loved one. I'd suggest stopping other things when something urgent comes up, because procrastination is not only about work but also about life. If you address emergencies right away, you wouldn't have to deal with the worst cases down the line. Most of the time, we think procrastination is all about work and how we delay work. But here I pointed out something that you should consider. Basically, if you organize work-related activities and complete before the deadline, or if you have completed half the work already, unexpected priorities might not create a huge impact on your work life. What matters is being organized and knowing how to prioritize your life matters. 2. Do daily review. Another best way to avoid procrastination is through daily reviews. If you allocate 10 minutes from your day, you can do the review. When you are doing the review, you will be able to find the priorities of your day. Then, you can analyze the tasks that will have a huge impact on your short-term goals. To make this review session simpler, consider carrying out a Q&A format. What are the scheduled meetings that you need to attend? Are there any emails that you must reply to today? Are there any documents that need to be edited today? Are there any appointments that will take more time than you allocated? What are the tasks that require more attention? Likewise, you must do a Q&A to find out the layout of the day. But you don't have to stick the questions that I have mentioned. Instead, you can prepare your own Q&A and follow it. If you do this daily review, you will be able to understand the layout for the day. When you have a layout, you will be able to stay on the track. You will have proper knowledge of the tasks that need more time or a quick response. Hence, you will not procrastinate because you are aware that it will impact your goals negatively. If you want to know one of the best concepts that beat procrastination, it will be the Pareto principle. This is all about 80-20 rule. Try to learn more about this concept before you actually apply it on your day-to-day activities. 3. MITs, or the most important tasks. It's tough to beat procrastination if you begin your day with a to-do list that bursts out with tasks. You must have a simplified to-do list if you want to get things done on time and correctly. How can you simplify your to-do list? It is pretty simple if you focus on MITs, most important tasks. You have to settle for the tasks that will have a considerable impact on your long-term goals. This is recommended by many experts who focus on productivity. My tips are to select the top 3 important tasks that need to be handled by the end of the day. It is better to pick 2 important tasks that have tight deadlines and another that will impact your long-term career goal. If you keep an eye on MIT's concept, you will be able to curb procrastination. Once you complete the 2 most important activities of your day, you will be interested in doing the other activities by the end of the day. And that motivation is very much needed if you want to succeed in beating procrastination. 4. The Eisenhower Matrix. Of course, who doesn't like productivity? You'd be glad if things happen the way you planned. But sometimes, things don't work as you planned. If your life is also like mine, filled with constant emergencies and changes, you must have the ability to make quick decisions. If you want to make a quick decision, you need the support from the Eisenhower matrix. The founder of this concept was in the army. It was the reason why he invented this concept. It's not possible to work according to the plan when you are in an army. There will be sudden changes and importance. In such an instance, the Eisenhower matrix concept was the guideline. If Eisenhower utilized this in the army, why can't you utilize this in your life to avoid procrastination? When you are dealing with this concept, you shouldn't forget the 4 quadrants related to it. By focusing on the 4 quadrants, you will be able to approach your day-to-day tasks accordingly. Let me mention the 4 quadrants in detail. Quadrant 1, urgent plus important. These are the tasks that need to be completed first because they are way important than any other tasks and they directly deal with your career goals. Plus, you must complete the tasks right away because they are urgent. If you complete these tasks, you will be able to avoid negative consequences. Once you get your Q1 tasks completed, you will be able to focus on other tasks. For example, if you have to submit a project at the end of the day, your complete attention should be given to that project because it is both urgent and important. Quadrant 2, important yet not urgent. The tasks under Q2 are important, but they are not urgent. Even though they might have a huge impact, they are not urgent. Compare Q2 to Q1, and then, you will understand the difference clearly. Typically, Q2 tasks will include the ones that have a huge impact on your long-term career or life goals. Yes, you need to allocate more time and attention to these tasks. But you seldom do it because your mind knows that the tasks in Q2 can wait. Meanwhile, you'll be focused on the tasks in other quadrants. Don't make this mistake because your long-term goals are the reasons why your short-term goals exist. For example, your health is one of the important factors, so if you don't spend enough time on it, you will regret it. Yet, when you get busy, you are unlikely to spend time on Q2 tasks. Especially, you are not obliged to answer anyone about Q2 tasks. Quadrant 3, urgent yet not important. The tasks under Q3 are urgent, but you don't necessarily have to spend your time in it. You can either automate or delegate the tasks to someone who can handle. These tasks are not so important, so it is okay to delegate them. These tasks often come from a third party and the tasks under Q3 will not have a direct influence on your career goals. But when you are handling Q3 tasks, you must note down the tasks that you delegate. For example, if you are working on a time-sensitive project and if the phone rings and if you attend you might get distracted. Or sometimes, it might not even be an important call. For such activities, you can assign someone. Even if it's an urgent call, you can still assign it to a person who can handle it. Through this, you will be able to manage your day. Quadrant 4, not important plus not urgent. The tasks under Q4 includes the tasks that need to be avoided. These tasks kill your time unnecessarily. If you don't spend any time on Q4 tasks, you will be able to spend more time on the tasks under Q2. By now, you'd know what Q4 tasks consist of. Anyway, they are such as watching TV, surfing the internet, playing games, and much more. So, should you eliminate Q4? Well, no. You shouldn't. If you don't have a balanced lifestyle, you might even struggle to protect your job. The tasks in Q4 will help you whenever you take 5 minutes break or whenever you want a break from work. These tasks shouldn't even be in your mind when you are trying to be productive. To apply the Eisenhower matrix in your life, you must draw a table on a paper or your journal. And then, divide 4 columns and 7 rows. Divide the rows according to the days and mention the quadrants on the columns. And then, analyze your week. But don't write down anything. Before you start the day, think and analyze again and allocate the tasks as per the matrix. If something else comes up, you must take some time to analyze the nature of the task, and then classify in the right quadrant. Once you complete 7 days, you can study the table and evaluate your effectiveness and productivity. This will not be amazing when you try it for the first time, but don't give up. Keep trying, and eventually, you will find yourself spending more time on the important and urgent tasks. If you keep following this technique, you will be able to structure your day-to-day tasks, and it will help your success become better and better. 5. Do it quickly. You come across tasks that don't need a lot of time, not even 5 minutes, yet you delay it. For example, cleaning after dining, sending an email, or even changing into your PJs, this is laziness. Even though these tasks don't take much time, you don't do them because you consider yourself too busy. Your way of ignoring quick or minor tasks is by telling yourself you are busy. But the problem is whenever you delay minor tasks, it builds up into a pile, and you might have to deal with huge tasks at the end. If you don't act immediately, you will have a lot to do when you take days off. Also, if you complete the minor tasks quickly, you will be able to avoid them from piling up. There are 2 practices that you must know if you want to get minor tasks done. The 2-minute rule is one of the practices that you must follow. If you think that the task will only take 2 minutes or less, you can just do it instead of putting it off. Right? So whenever you come across any minor tasks, think whether it will take longer to finish those. If they don't, why not get them done? Also, if you follow this habit throughout, you will feel that you are removing a lot of negativity and you have more time to spend on important tasks. Besides, you'll feel that you are more organized than before. In contradiction, if you find tasks that will need more than 5 minutes, you must schedule a time to do it. The second practice is to single-handle all the possible tasks. Let me describe an example. Say that you've received an email and even though it requires a reply, you just delay answering it. But then, when you check it later, you would have forgotten the details on the email itself and so you have to go through all the details again. Instead of making this simple task a huge pain, you can easily get it done. The concept of single-handling helps you complete the tasks. If you can see the end clearly, you must make the necessary actions. For example, you can do the dishes right away instead of putting it off for later. Likewise, there are many tasks that you have to complete immediately. If you follow these concepts, you will be able to complete minor tasks quickly and overcome procrastination. In fact, the stress that tags along with procrastination can also be eliminated completely. These are the simple practices that will help you beat procrastination. You don't have to worry or think low about yourself just because you are a procrastinator. We all have been procrastinators at some point in our lives. Everyone can beat procrastination if they try. Now, you have many practical tips that you can follow. You can utilize them and see if there are any changes. You are way more powerful than you think, so only you can decide whether to become a procrastinator or a productive individual. Chapter 11: Additional Ways to Naturally Heal Depression. In addition to CBT, there are plenty of other natural ways that you can focus on healing your depression. Often, the most effective way to heal depression comes from a combination approach that includes lifestyle changes, psychotherapy, and occasionally, medicines for people who find that lifestyle changes and psychotherapy alone don't help. Incorporating these additional healing methods can help you naturally begin to heal your depression while also improving your chances of maintaining a depression-free lifestyle following your healing. Note that it may take a while to find the right balance for you, so you may want to practice balancing these different natural healing methods out in your life, as you begin learning how to take better care of yourself and your depression. You may find that keeping a wellness journal, separate from your CBT journal, helps you keep track of all of the changes you are making so that you are more likely to recognize what is helping and what is not. When you do implement a lifestyle change, make sure that you record how you have been taking care of yourself in that particular area of life and how you have been feeling about it so far so that you have a clear understanding of where you are starting from. This way, as you continue to track your growth and changes, you will find where your improvements are helping and where you might be able to further improve to support yourself with experiencing even more healing from your depression. As you begin working on taking care of these areas of your life more intentionally, you will likely find that you experience a general improvement in your health overall, too. For many people, especially those who have suffered from something like depression, taking basic care of yourself can be challenging, and not taking basic care of yourself can lead to symptoms far beyond depression itself. You will likely find that your general mood improves, that you have more energy and stamina, that your immune system feels stronger, and that you have a greater sense of vitality, in general, when you follow these practices. Getting a healthy amount of sleep. One of the most important things that you need to do when you are learning how to heal from your depression is to focus on making sure that you are getting a healthy amount of sleep. Sleep can rapidly become disturbed by depression, and it can get worse over time if you are not careful and managing your depression intentionally and effectively. If you want to improve the quality of your life and start helping yourself naturally heal your depression, you need to make sure that you are sleeping enough but not too much. Not sleeping enough can obviously lead to you experiencing low energy and struggling to engage in your day-to-day life. This chronic exhaustion can lead to an increase in depression as you have to fight extra hard to try to make it through the day and you struggle constantly with symptoms of exhaustion. Likewise, oversleeping can lead to problems as well, which includes reduced energy and symptoms similar to exhaustion. The average adult needs between 7 to 9 hours of sleep per day, at most. The older you get, the less sleep you need. Ideally, you should be sleeping within this time frame to ensure that you are getting plenty of rest and that you are not oversleeping. As well, you should avoid routine naps when you are depressed, as they can lower your energy throughout the day. Instead, Focus on how you can naturally boost and maintain your energy throughout your day. Engaging in regular physical activity. The flip side of adequate rest is adequate activity on a day-to-day basis. Being depressed can lead to an increased feeling of being fatigued, even if you are struggling with sleeping on a regular basis. This mixed with a lack of motivation can lead to many people with depression dropping their regular physical activity and instead finding themselves feeling too exhausted to engage in regular activity on a day-to-day basis. Engaging in physical activity is going to support you in naturally healing your depression while also helping boost your ability to engage in a healthy sleep cycle each night. Exercising at the right time throughout the day can boost your energy levels throughout the day while also helping you naturally feel more sleepy at night time, helping encourage a healthier circadian cycle. If you find that you feel too tired or weak to exercise too much, try engaging in something simple like a brisk walk or some yoga at home. These types of regular activity will help promote more energy within you while also boosting natural endorphins and hormones that support you in feeling happier and healthier overall. Eating a healthy diet. Did you know that serotonin is actually made in your gut? Your gut and digestive system are responsible for a large amount of the hormones and chemicals that are produced within your body. Eating a healthy diet on a consistent basis can help you manage your depression while also encouraging you to experience a boosted mood. People who are depressed often fail to eat enough, or eat excessively, and generally find themselves indulging in things that are not particularly healthy for them. Learning how to commit to eating healthy and maintaining a healthy diet on an ongoing basis can help boost your mood while also improving your health overall. This improved health can also reduce the amount of stress your system is experiencing, which means you are less likely to experience hormones and chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol, which can reduce the production of things like serotonin and dopamine. If you have a particularly difficult time eating healthier and maintaining a healthy diet, focus on making eating as simple as possible. You can easily pre-cut and prepare healthier foods when you are feeling more energized so that you are more likely to eat them when you are feeling low energy. If a friend or family member asks how they can help you, you can also ask them to help you in this way so that you have healthier foods on hand to eat as you navigate your low energy and depression. Herbs that might support healing depression. While there is no guarantee that herbs or supplements can support you with healing your depression, there are some herbs that have shown positive effects on people healing from depression in clinical studies. As long as these herbs do not contradict any medicines you may be on or illnesses you may have, incorporating these herbs into your diet or drinking tea with these herbs in them may support you in boosting your mood. St. John's wort is often known as being a mood enhancer as it is a plant that has been used to support mental health for hundreds of years. With that being said, you do need to be particularly cautious with it as it is not known as a long-term healing method, and it can affect the effectiveness of antidepressant medications if you are using any. As well, people who are pregnant or nursing should not use St. John's wort. Ginseng is another great mood enhancer that can also increase your ability to overcome depression. As well, chamomile and lavender have both shown promise in helping calm people's moods while simultaneously gently uplifting their moods, which can lead to improvements in managing both depression and anxiety. Supporting healthy brain function. In addition to focusing on your mood and your ability to eat and live a lifestyle that supports a healthy body, you should also focus on living a lifestyle that supports a healthy brain. Your brain is often where depression is said to reside, so knowing how to support the healthy function of your brain will assist you in being able to create a healthy foundation for new neural pathways to be formed as you engage in healing therapies. You can support the well-being of your brain, especially through omega fatty acids. Omega-3 specifically is said to support your brain while also helping boost your mood and reduce the instance of depression. While some studies show that it may not target depression specifically or serve in healing stronger levels of depression, it can help support healthy brain function, which is incredibly important when healing depression. Maintaining a healthy social life. When people begin to suffer from depression, they can often be found isolating themselves from their friends and family and cutting themselves off from their social lives. Depression is often seen as synonymous with spending copious amounts of time lounging around in bed or on your couch blowing everyone off and doing nothing. Except, it feels less like lounging and more like laying on the couch or bed feeling completely drained and incapable of actually engaging in life itself. Isolation is a huge symptom of depression, and one way to naturally combat depression is to gently overcome your isolation tendencies. Spend time engaging with your friends as much as you reasonably can when you are feeling depressed so that you are less likely to isolate yourself and make your symptoms worse. Text your friends, call them or even invite them to sit and have tea with you if you are feeling too depressed to actually go out with them. You may feel like you are being a burden because you are depressed and low on energy, but it is likely that your friends or family will not see it the same way. Make sure that you are transparent with them about how you are feeling and the support you need, and let them come over and sit with you, even if you are not up for much talking. Often, just having loved ones around and spending time with you can help you feel supported and cared for, which can help massively when it comes to overcoming your depression. Enjoy a healthy and fun schedule. One way to heal from and prevent depression is to enjoy a healthy and fun schedule that you maintain with the intention of helping you fulfill your needs while also having fun in your life. If you find yourself typically having an unplanned schedule that is full of spontaneous activities, a packed schedule that isn't organized, or one that does not leave enough time for you to do the things that matter to you, you may be more vulnerable to depression. Learning how to manage your time effectively will help you. Make sure that you are feeling supported and cared for by the activities that you engage in so that you can find your way to feeling your absolute best. If you are not particularly keen on scheduling, you might find that the practice of having one helps you have something to look forward to while also minimizing the overwhelm that can come with not knowing what happens next. Make sure that you schedule in everything that you need to do with adequate time to get it done, and that you leave plenty of time before and after for you to relax and enjoy your days. As well, make sure that you fill your calendar with activities that you find fun and enjoyable so that you look at your calendar and feel a sense of excitement, too. Only focusing on what has to be done can increase stress, as it can lead to you forgetting that you can have plenty of time to do the things that you want to do, too. Avoid letting your life be about doing the bare minimum and then sitting around watching TV or playing on your phone in between everything else. Focus on doing things that really boost your energy, like exercising, taking a class, going on a trip, or spending time with loved ones. The more you can make these things a priority for you, the more you are going to enjoy your schedule and everything that you need to accomplish on a regular basis. Take care of your emotional needs. In our modern world, it is only now starting to be recognized that we need to take care of our emotional well-being on a regular basis if we are going to avoid developing a mental illness or emotional problems in our lives. Learning to fill up your emotional cup, so to speak, is a great opportunity for you to allow yourself the opportunity to feel emotionally nurtured, supported, and expressed so that you can stop holding on to emotions and building unhealthy resentments in your life. There are many ways that you can begin taking care of your emotional needs. From learning to express your emotions in a healthy and productive manner by increasing your emotional intelligence, to spending time engaging in things that help you feel the way you want and need to feel, you can do plenty to support your well-being. 4. Example, let's say you are feeling stressed, and you need to feel supported and to feel relieved from the burdens you have been carrying with you for some time. Taking some time out to take a bath, meditate, join a yoga class, hang out with a friend, or otherwise engage in something fun and non-stressful can help create that relief and promote emotional well-being. The more you can learn to understand your emotions, understand your emotional needs, fulfill them, and express yourself in healthier manners, the better you are going to feel. This is a great way to both overcome depression and prevent problematic depression from coming back in the future. Boost your mood by helping others. There is a popular saying that goes, if you feel like you can't help yourself, help someone else. This saying is rooted in the idea that we can forget our importance and our ability to help ourselves and others when we are focused too deeply on ourselves and what we need. What can happen is we find that we begin isolating ourselves, and we find that we begin feeling helpless and hopeless. We also begin feeling like we are not worthy of receiving help because we are not helping others, which tends to be a common trend. As humans, we like things to be balanced and even, and we hate being indebted to other people, which is often how we begin to feel when we find ourselves receiving favors but never doing anything in return. If you feel like there is nothing you can do for yourself, do something for someone else. Take some time out of your day to support someone else in feeling better, or to help them experience a higher quality of life. Hold doors open, volunteer at a shelter, support other people in feeling cared for and healthy, and otherwise help by offering your service and time to other people. If you can, join an ongoing volunteer program that supports something that you love and cherish in your life. The more you can help other people, the more you are going to witness the development of gratitude in others. As you witness deep, pure gratitude in other people, you will also begin to experience deep gratitude in yourself for your ability to help these other people. You will also begin to realize that you have a lot of power within yourself to help others, which means that you also have the power within yourself to help yourself as you need it. This realization can massively boost your energy and support you in going to get the help you need or engage in the helpful practices that you need to overcome your depression. The power of gratitude. Gratitude has an incredible ability to help uplift our moods while also helping reframe our awareness and train our brains to focus on more positive things in life, such as the things that make us happy and grateful. Researchers have learned that a daily gratitude practice being completed for as little as 30 days can drastically rewire your brain and support you in having a healthier cognitive framework that is wired for optimism instead of pessimism. Expressing gratitude is something that can become particularly challenging when you are depressed and can become even more challenging the longer you experience depression for. If you find yourself feeling depressed, you might find that you struggle to experience gratitude and that you are constantly noticing the things you don't like in your life, but never noticing the things that you do like. If you take the time to recognize what you do like by recognizing the things you are grateful for, you can begin to change this habit and all of the mental processes that lie around this habit, including your feelings. In order to pick up a healthy gratitude practice in your everyday life, all you need to do is sit with your journal every single day and journal about 5 to 10 things that you are grateful for. Even if you are struggling to think of anything, take some time to think about the small things and don't be afraid to write down things that seem incredibly basic. Do your best to make them different every day so that you are not habitually focusing on the exact same thing, but you are proving to yourself every day that you have plenty to be grateful for. Even after you begin feeling better, you should continue engaging in this gratitude practice so that you are consistently uplifting yourself and incorporating this into a part of your preventative healing routine. Conclusion. At this point, you should have developed a positive mindset towards life, knowing very well that it's never too late to start fresh. Overthinking is an issue that holds people back from reaching their full potential in life. It occurs when you spend too much time ruminating about what needs to be done instead of actually doing it. A major problem caused by overthinking is that you will never take the time to simply act. This means that you will have a lot that is pending in your life. Your relationships will be affected, your career will always be at a standstill, and your business would even stagnate. This is because there is nothing that you do about the thoughts that come to your mind. You only waste your time and energy thinking. The concept of overthinking has numerous detrimental effects on the body and in your life. Since you feel like there is little that you do about what needs to be done, you will live a life full of worry. You will always worry that the worst could happen since you are not working towards achieving your goals. Nobody knows what the future holds. As a result, thinking too much about what might be will only lead to stress. Failure to deal with this in time could escalate to depression. Certainly, there are individuals who struggle in life just because they don't know what to do with their lives. They are always stressed because they can't seem to get over the habit of procrastination. Yes, they know what they should be doing, but they never do anything about it. Ultimately, this creates a scenario where a lot of time has been wasted and you cannot do anything else but feel regret. Blaming yourself for the mistakes that you have made in the past will never help you overcome the challenges that you are experiencing. The worst case is that it only makes things worse since it evokes negative emotions about yourself and your abilities. Overthinking can happen to anyone. As a result, it is a common thing to find yourself thinking too much from time to time. Regardless, it is worth taking the time to understand how your mind works to ensure that you can catch yourself overthinking and stop it. For instance, as human beings, we are more inclined to thinking negatively because of negativity bias. Often, it is easy for people to remember all the bad things that occurred in their lives. Conversely, it will take time for people to recall something good that has happened recently. When watching the news, we usually find ourselves paying a lot more attention to bad events that are being shown. Little attention is paid to good news. Still, with negativity bias, it is often daunting to focus your mind on the good side of life. Have you ever stopped to wonder why it is easy to think of all the bad things that could happen to you? In fact, the mind naturally drifts to think negatively even when you are trying to live an optimistic life. Therefore, through this understanding, you should develop a habit of training your mind to think positively. This can be done by using positive affirmations and mantras that constantly remind you of how beautiful life can be. How do you know that you are an overthinker? There are signs that will indicate to you that you are thinking too much. For instance, if you find yourself overanalyzing things, then you are likely an overthinker. Sometimes life is just as simple as we perceive it to be. However, we make it difficult by thinking about it too much. When you meet someone for the first time, you might be overly judgmental as a result of thinking too much about how they are behaving. Avoid this by perceiving things as they are. In addition, if you find it difficult to let go of your past, then this is another clear sign that you are an overthinker. What happened in the past has nothing to do with your future. In fact, it only threatens your future since it holds you captive and prevents you from realizing your dreams. As you go through your daily life, you should always remember that what you think about is what you become. This is the main reason why overthinking is tied to anxiety, stress, and negative thinking. Based on the law of attraction, you attract what you want in your life through your thoughts and emotions. Consequently, if you are always worrying about your future, then you will prevent yourself from truly being happy with the life you're living now. Similarly, thinking negatively about how your life doesn't help to save you from the situation. Sure, you might be going through a tough time. However, this doesn't mean that you should dwell on the negative. You should strive to find good in everything you go through in life. 4. Instance, if you are going through a difficult time, consider this as a lesson worth going through. Life without challenges can be boring and risky at the same time. This is because you will be unlikely to learn and grow. As such, it is imperative that you embrace the notion of positive thinking since your life is dependent on how you think. Digitally speaking, there is a lot of nonsense that we consume on a daily basis. While we might perceive this as entertaining and an ideal way of killing time, the reality is that we are polluting our minds. The same way you take care of your body by eating right is the same way that you should be treating your mind by consuming quality information. At first you might not notice the negative impact of consuming undesirable information, but in the long run, it will affect how you think. So, if there is nothing good to watch on TV, switch it off and spend this time reading a book. Alternatively, you can choose to take a walk or visit your friends. This is more productive compared to lazing around and filling your mind with unnecessary information. With regard to the process of decluttering your mind, it is vital that you find the time to free your mind from thoughts and emotions that only weigh you down. Why should you waste time ruminating over what you did in the past? Let bygones be bygones and focus on molding your future. What you do now determines how your future will be. At some point, your future will be your past. The clock is always ticking. Whether you choose to do something today or not, the future will tell a lot about what you had been doing all along. The world will be there to witness you benefiting from your efforts. As a result, if you choose to spend your time focusing on your past, it means that there is little that you are doing about your future. Living mindfully and anticipating for the best to happen in the future can make a huge difference in your life. So, do what you need to do without falling for the urge to procrastinate. Overthinking is not something that should overwhelm you, since there are practical steps to beat overthinking. Increasing your self-awareness, for example, can be of great benefit, since it can help you deal with overthinking. As you develop this quality, you will consciously be aware of the instances when your mind tends to overthink. In this case, each time you feel that you're tensed, stressed, or overwhelmed, your awareness will help you stop overthinking. Similarly, overthinking can also be stopped by seeking second opinions from those around you. Why should you stress yourself over something that your friend can effectively help you to handle? If you are going through an emotional phase, individuals who are dear to you can give you a shoulder to lean on. Talk to them about what you are going through. There is power in sharing your feelings with others, as it releases tension in your body and anxiety from your mind. What's more, you can write what you are feeling in a journal. This is yet another effective strategy of dealing with overthinking. Lastly, practicing positive self-talk can transform how you think. Remember, you are what you think. For that reason, if you think positively about yourself, it likely means that you are being the best version of yourself. Eliminate any negative thoughts from your mind by developing a habit of looking at life from a positive perspective. Sure, you can't prevent yourself from thinking negatively all the time. However, it's what you do to manage your negative thoughts that matters the most. Accordingly, stick to the recommended strategies of taming your thoughts discussed in this guide. Mold your life by thinking right. Think of a beautiful life full of hope and optimism. Practice living that life now by doing the things that you would like to do to contribute to a happy and blissful life. Arguably, this is the best way of preventing yourself from experiencing the negative effects of overthinking, such as anxiety and stress. Good luck.